Not long ago, in a time when people believed in legends, there was a man in the Empire who was called the Reaper. He could make people shudder with terror with just one look, and the guy was a monster who was ready to do anything for the prosperity of the Empire. When one of the aristocrats asked why the man plunged his son into eternal sleep, and also, what did they do there? The man just looked at him coldly. This is a terrible tyrant and a cruel reaper. In the Empire, this monster was called Duke Chiron and the Master of the Triton. The aristocrat cries out about rebellion and claims that his interlocutor knows that this pretext is meaningless because he saw how devoted he was to his majesty. But the Duke claims that he doesn't care because he only knows that the Emperor wants to destroy the Duchy of Barton. So he suggests to stop gloating. His interlocutor cries out, "What kind of Duke is the Emperor's cur?" It's even funny that he serves such a madman as this man. One day he will definitely go to hell for this sin. But the man just waves his sword and then claims that he told him to stop gloating. He also claims that at least he won't fall into eternal sleep so ugly when he enters one of the rooms. Then he looks at various strange figures, after which he insists that for this the man himself will not get into heaven. But at the same moment, the Duke also hears something gurgling, and when he removes the cover from one of the things, he is surprised because he sees a mermaid in front of him. At that moment, someone else enters the room and asks if the Duke is there. After all, they've sorted out almost everything in the castle. Well, the man shows him to be quieter, and when the man approaches the Duke, he tells the gentleman that this is a real mermaid. Of course, he knew that Duke Barton was a collector, but he didn't think that he would keep a mermaid in his bedroom. Well, even that's not a problem, because hasn't he heard the legend that if you harm a mermaid, then the man will be cursed and soon fall into eternal sleep? Perhaps Duke Barton suffered the same fate. His interlocutor replies that he plunged into eternal sleep because he wanted to raise a rebellion and not because of this fish. At this time, the main character is trying to ask for help, and the servant is wondering what they will do. To which the Duke replies that they will take everything from there, and all the items in the castle's collection will be given to the Emperor. The servant asks if he is even talking about a mermaid, to which he replies that he is, and suggests looking around again. At this time, the main character turns around and the Duke tells the servant that since they have already dealt with the castle. But at that very moment, the girl starts to beat herself against the glass, and the Duke says that she is doing interesting things. The servant asks what is wrong with this mermaid, and does she really want to attack them, and that would only make things worse for herself. The man replies that he doesn't even know, and maybe she herself is asking to be sent after her master. After which he takes out his sword, and the servant asks if the master really wants to put her into eternal sleep. The Duke asks, what if this is so, because the Emperor ordered to get rid of all the people in the castle. The servant asks the master to wait, but he only cuts the aquarium, after which the mermaid begins to fall. And the Duke grabs her, after which they both fall to the floor. At that time the man did not understand, but only when he saw her eyes he was surprised. It happened in the recent past, and this story of a mermaid from legends and also of a single person. After this, the Duke grabs the mermaid's hand and turns to Ian. The man immediately responds, and his master speaks. So that he would put the mermaid in some vessel and transfer her to him, they say after that. A little while later, the Duke is in one of the rooms and realizes that he is there again. The guy also remembers how a little while ago someone bowed before him and claimed that their kingdom was Barton. He also asked to spare them in this war, and they will become a duchy within the empire. The man also swore that he would be faithful to the empire. Therefore he asked his majesty to take action. The man then turned to Chiron, and he told him to keep an eye on him. Now the guy is throwing the statue off the table, and when it shatters into pieces, the Duke claims that he still doesn't like it there. At the same moment, someone else turns to the gentleman and claims that they have brought a mermaid. They wanted to put her in a vessel, but she developed legs. How much does the U.S. claim happened after she dried out? And even a fish can imitate a person. Chiron claims that Duke Barton hid such a treasure in his castle. After which the man looks at the lady's wounds and says that you need to treat the trophies well, but she is all covered in scratches. He also tells Ian to look after her better, to which his interlocutor replies that she had these wounds to begin with. When they pulled the lady out of the water, there were already scars all over her body, but perhaps Duke Barton inflicted them himself. At this time, the lady remembers how her previous owner cried out that mermaids should cry pearls, after which he hit the girl with a whip and asked why she wasn't crying. He also told her to give the pearls back quickly, otherwise it would be worse. At this time, the Duke turns to the mermaid and asks if she is listening to him at all. Chiron now understands what this old man was interested in. Looking at those eyes, the guy understands that he really likes them. The servant at this time says that the Duke had better step aside. The man asks what is going on, and his interlocutor asks for forgiveness. But he wonders if the gentleman hasn't heard that a person who hears the voice of a mermaid can lose his soul. Chiron says that the guy has already bothered him enough with his legend, but his interlocutor says that it is better not to take risks, just in case. At this moment, the main character is about to say something, and the knights immediately take off. But the Duke stops them, and the girl only claims that she is hungry, but she says it very quietly. And the man asks what she said, and the lady grabs him by the clothes and repeats again that she is hungry. The Duke asks if Ian heard, and he says that she is asking to be fed. This makes Chiron laugh. After which everything says that they found very interesting prey and what will happen when it ends up in the Empire. He also asks if it's not interesting. A little while later, they find themselves on a ship. The Duke claims that there will soon be a headwind and suggests unfurling the stern sail. The servant claims that there was a long mission. They suppressed the rebels on the western borders and stopped the uprising in the Barton Duchy. It has been half a year since they were in Triton Castle. The man suggests that the servant should speak already if he has something to say, and let him not talk nonsense and get to the point. His interlocutor claims that in general he wanted to discuss the mermaid because they would soon be passing the Bursazovo Sea, and maybe it would be worth letting her go. Still, the emperor ordered all the people of Barton Castle to be plunged into eternal sleep, but his master replies that she is not a person, and that in fact this girl is a fish. He wants to raise her as a curiosity or a pet. The servant asks if he is talking about a pet, and Chiron asks what his fish is doing now. A little while later, they are already entering one of the rooms. The Duke, looking at the girl, asks what is wrong with her, and the servant says that the track may give in because she is constantly trying to tear or pull off her clothes. The man also says that the girl is so pale, but he asked her to feed her back in the duchy. His interlocutor replies that they gave her the fish that was there. The Duke asks if that is really so, and the servant replies that in the room where they found the mermaid there were buckets of fish, so it seemed to him that they were there to feed her. Chiron gets up from his seat and says that the mermaid would not give her soup or fried meat. The man also approaches the lady, and when he takes her by the face, he tells her to be quiet. The Duke opens the girl's mouth. Chiron says it's strange because she has a high temperature in her mouth, and her face color is almost lifeless. When the girl asks for water, the servant asks what to do because he really needs to let her go into the sea as soon as possible. His master asks what he is standing there for because the girl is asking for something. The bitch replies that they gave her water because they thought she wanted to sing but she didn't want to. At that moment, the Duke snatches the jug from the hands of the maid and says that the girl is in fact a mermaid. She may not want to drink it. When the servant asks the master what he is talking about, he only pours water on the girl. The main character looks much better after this. Her interlocutor asks if she feels better. The girl tries to thank him, after which the roadster turns around and tells them to call the third assistant and let him tell her when she gets better. Well, then the main character asks him not to leave and wait a little, and then she grabs the Duke by the leg. The man replies that he doesn't want to keep a pet that requires too much care, and he also turns to the lady, and when he leans towards her, the girl only tells him not to leave. After which she completely faints. The Duke asks in bewilderment what is wrong with her. The main character remembers how one of the mermaids said that everything needs to be done before she falls asleep. The girl will understand when she grows up and recognizes her Serenhid. The main character wondered if she would really meet him and then recognize him. But she doesn't understand anything yet and is simply looking for Sirenhid, whom she can remember forever. And when she meets him, she will be able to give birth to a beautiful mermaid baby, but a little while later the girl was caught in a net. Someone screamed for them to just look because he caught the mermaid from the legends. Now the main character wakes up, but when she looks around, she realizes that she is in a bathtub with water. The girl thinks that this is the sea and she was able to return, so now she can live normally. Well, at the same moment, who claims that the mermaid has a tail again, the main character turns around and realizes that it is that man again. He had already done this before, so would he really continue to bring her water? But then the lady thought what to do because she would like to thank him. and it would be better to say it in human words. The Duke approaches the lady and asks if she is feeling better, but he had to try hard to collect seawater, but it was worth it. He also touches her forehead and asks if the mermaid understands what he is talking about. The man also remembers the servant's words that if he harms a mermaid, the person will be cursed and will soon fall into eternal sleep. The Duke wonders if he was talking about the curse because this mermaid looks like an idiot who doesn't even know what it is. The girl at this time looks at her reflection in the water and begins to smile, but at the same moment the man lowers the dagger in its sheath into the water. The lady then looks at him in surprise and then grabs the dagger. This bundle asks what she just did. Well, the girl only smiles in response to this. A little while ago, someone told Kieran to look because they are more beautiful than ordinary people, but you need to be careful. Mermaids lure with their songs and show terrible illusions that drive you crazy just like him. Now the man comes to his senses, after which the mermaid completely removes the sheath from the dagger. When she looks at the blade, she is surprised, and the Duke tells her to let go. The girl doesn't understand what he's talking about, after which the man once again offers her to let go and then pulls out the blade altogether. The mermaid's hands are left with shallow cuts, and the man sighs and says that he will have to teach her to speak as soon as they return to the castle. At this time, the girl notices that he is leaving again and wonders why, and also whether he is upset because she speaks poorly. In her thoughts, the lady asks him not to leave because she will repeat after him, so let him stay. A little while later, the Duke goes somewhere. One of the words looks into the box and asks the vice captain what is in this room. The man replies that he cannot say because it is an order, and his interlocutor, looking at the people, claims that he feels hatred. There are rumors of conspiracies to ascend to the throne. Lately, many have said that if you cross his gaze, you can burn to death on the spot. The previous emperor did a great job, and he was able to brand the Duke as a priest of hell of this empire, but the rumors will soon be forgotten anyway, so there is nothing to worry about. The main character at this time looks out from under the cover. A little while later, one of the maids turns to N, and he asks where she is going, and her interlocutor replies that she is heading to the dining room. The woman wonders why at such a time, and when she looks at the bucket of seafood, she asks if it is really time to feed it. But what a poor thing she is. She's only been working there for a couple of months, and she tries so hard every day. Anne replies that it is not difficult for her, but her interlocutor claims that they know everything, because at all the meetings now this is all they discuss. The Duke brought his beloved, but in fact, she is not a human but a mermaid. But mermaids immerse people in eternal sleep with their songs. She heard that they can do this even with their voice. When the girl approaches the door, she wonders if this is true, but if only mermaids really were such terrible creatures. If she could put people into eternal sleep with her voice, she wouldn't be in perfect health now. After which the maid announces that she has arrived and apologizes and also asks if she has been waiting for too long. At this time, the main character greets the girl but pronounces her name incorrectly. The maid corrects the mermaid lady, after which the girl tries to pronounce her name again, and when she fails, the maid says, "Okay." But the lady repeats other words well, so why can't she do it with her name? And even if she soon falls into eternal sleep, sitting like this constantly in the water and eating only raw fish is too much. The maid also tells the lady to hold on because last time she liked the octopuses. The main character thanks her, and the maid claims that everything is correct, and it is right to say thank you in this situation. She is so glad that the lady remembers. At that very moment the door opens, and the main character turns her attention to it. Well, when no one comes in, the girl just drops the octopus, and the maid asks if she is waiting for someone. The mermaid asks what this means, and her interlocutor replies that if there is a person she wants to see, this is called waiting. She also understands that during the first months, Count Ian Ruthern came to see her very often. After which, the girl asks if the mermaid lady is waiting for Mr. Ian Ruthern. The main character repeats the name Ian, and thinks that the man's name is really Ian. The maid, looking at the mermaid lady, says that she is all blushed. She also asks what the lady likes about the Count, and whether he is handsome or the fact that he is a count. The girl repeats the word like, after which he insists that she likes Ian. The maid replies that he hasn't even come lately and asks what she likes so much, after which she also says that the lady should turn around because she will dry her hair. The main character understands that Ian is her man and her serenhid. Everything is as the older sisters said. The lady understood everything when their eyes met for the first time. He would become her serenchid, so she can do this as much as she wants and there is no problem. The maid at this time braids the mermaid's hair, and he says that everything is ready, after which he asks the lady to wait a little because she will bring the jewelry. The main character understands that she already knows from her sisters that she needs to wait a long time to meet Serenchid. After which the lady notices that the door is opening, and when she turns around, she asks if it is really N. But in front of her she sees the Duke and the man asks who she is calling, but she is still muttering and smiling, after which he even asks why the lady's tail has disappeared again. The girl asks what it is, after which the man points to her legs. The girl understands that since she got there she has not been able to turn into a mermaid anymore. Maybe it's all about the water because it doesn't smell like the sea, and then the lady scoops up some water and says the word water. The man claims he doesn't understand what she's talking about, and the lady turns to Ian and claims she's saying the word water. The Duke, hearing this, asks if she just called him Ian. Well, at that very moment, the maid screams like the mermaid's mistress and pushes the man away. She also screams who he is to enter a woman's room without asking, and also tells him to leave right now. The Duke asks if she really told him to get out, but the woman screams to whom else, and if he is completely out of his mind. But at that very moment the maid realizes that it is the Duke, and the man wonders if while he was away from the castle, new rules were established there. He now needs permission to see his property. The maid immediately falls to the ground and sobs, asking the Duke for forgiveness. She also claims that she has only recently worked there and did not recognize him, so she asks for forgiveness, and also says that she deserves to be plunged into eternal sleep. The man puts his hand on the blade and claims that she did her job well, but the girl must know the one she works for. The main character at this time pays attention to the blade, after which he screams out that it is not necessary and grabs the Duke. The lady understands that this will hurt, but she does not want it, and in her thoughts asks him to stop. She says no and thanks him, and the man replies that in such a situation one says please, not thank you. The girl repeats this word and her interlocutor claims that he thought that she could only mumble, but that was already not bad. And she has gained strength, and the lady even knows how to hug others, so his fish is amazing. The Duke asks what to do now that the girl has grabbed the blade. It is up to her to decide whether to put that maid into eternal sleep. The main character asks what it means to be put into eternal sleep, and the maid screams and asks not to do this because she wants to live. The man says that she said that she deserves to be plunged into eternal sleep, and the maid replies that she was wrong and will do anything, and therefore asks to spare her life. The main character at this time repeats the word life, and the man tells her to ask him to joke with her and say it with her lips, after which the girl does so but calls him Ian. The Duke pushes her away a little and says that he will spare the maid. After all, a promise is a promise. The maid immediately turns to the mermaid lady, and the man says that she should teach her to speak better because it's strange when his property doesn't know his name, so let the maid make sure that she no longer calls him Ian. The woman tells the gentleman that she will definitely do everything he said. A little while later, Ian asks if the gentleman was with the mermaid. The man claims that rumors spread quickly, and his interlocutor says that he heard about the misconduct of the new maid, and it was his mistake because he did not prepare her in advance. The Duke at this time repeats the lady's words about mercy, and when the butler asks what he is talking about, the man claims that she asked to visit her, and the mermaid asked him about it. He also asks if it is not strange because in his entire life he was begged more than anything not to be put into eternal sleep. But this fish is strange from the very first meeting when the servant once again turns to the Duke in surprise. He only tells the servant to forget and go already. Ian says that recently the gentleman has been taking his medication less and less, and he is afraid that his health will suffer. The man asks if it's better to be dependent on medication than not to sleep for a couple of days, and he won't repeat it twice, so let Ian go. To which he agrees and leaves the gentleman alone. When the man falls asleep, he begins to dream of terrible things about how people begged him for mercy. But at the same moment, he also starts dreaming about a mermaid, and when he opens his eyes, he thinks how annoying it all is. A little while later, the main character tries to walk, and the maid tells the mermaid lady to go to her and stay only a little while. When the main character approaches the maid, she claims that the mistress was able to take 2 steps more than yesterday, so she can go out today because she is just incredibly cool. The main character repeats the word cool, and the woman asks if she wants to go for another walk, to which the girl agrees. The maid smiles after this and claims that she remembers her little ones thanks to her, and they have a big family. The maid claims that she is the eldest and that she has 2 younger brothers and a sister. The main character asks what the youngest is, and the woman replies that they don't have parents or anyone else, so she had to look after them since childhood, and she changed their diapers and also saw their first steps. They sometimes disobey and even irritate her, but they are very important to her. If the lady had not stopped the Duke, then she would not have been able to see them again. So, she thanks the lady, but at the same moment they hear someone screaming that she will stay another day and wondering what the problem is. The maid drags the mistress along and tells her to go there. At the same moment, one of the maids apologizes and claims that they are simply following orders. They received an order from the Duke to send the lady away immediately after she wakes up. At this time, the maid sees the head maid and claims that this is the scandalous woman. She also whispers to the lady that last night the Duke called a woman to him, and apparently it was her. The main character asks if this is really true, and the maid replies that she really did spend the night with the Duke people, then understand that she has heard such a word somewhere. And her sisters told her about this because in order to have a child, you need to spend the night with Serenheed. At the same time, who else claims that the rumors are true because the Duke always kicks women out after 1 a.m.? The maid also says that she shouldn't have spoken about this with the mistress and suggests going further. When they go there, the main character thinks what a pity because she would like to ask her what it's like to spend the night with Serenheed. The Duke dreams about the past at this time. There, someone approached him and insisted that the guy put him into eternal sleep. The young man looked at this man with tears in his eyes, after which someone else cried out what he was worth and suggested quickly putting him into eternal sleep. The guy then turned to his brother and claimed that he was his mentor, but the man replied that he was no longer his mentor. After all, this man is a traitor who sold information to their enemies and wished for them all to plunge into eternal sleep. The young man claimed that it might just be a mistake and asked His Majesty not to do this. But at that very moment, his interlocutor hit the guy in the face and asked when his brother would finally become a real representative of the imperial family. He also claimed that this was an order because the guy had to put this traitor into eternal sleep or put himself into eternal sleep. Let him make a decision now, or does he think he still has a choice? The young man then asked Duncan with tears in his eyes if this was true and he couldn't be a traitor. After all, the man spent so many days with him, so how can he so easily plunge him into eternal sleep? He also asked to say that this was all a lie, and that he would do anything, but the man only turned to the master and suggested that he listen to the order of His Majesty. Let the Lord not be afraid and punish the sinners for his sword, must always strive towards the light. There is no need to try to hurt or put anyone into eternal sleep with it, because he must always raise his sword only for the sake of people. After which the young man swung his sword with tears in his eyes, and the last words of his teacher were that he must definitely survive. Now the man wakes up, and when he looks out into the street, he sees a mermaid running away from the maid. The girl smiles brightly. A little while later, the man breaks the medicine bottle. He understands that everything is useless because no matter what he does, and no matter what medications he takes, he's been like this all his life. But at that same moment, he remembers the lady's smile and remembers the words that mermaids are more beautiful than ordinary people. But you need to be careful. After all, there are rumors that they can take away souls with their songs. The man thinks whether they take away souls, after which he completely understands that maybe it will be even better. At that moment, someone turns to the Duke and asks what happened there, and the man replies that Ian arrived on time. He also tells him to call the mermaid there right away. A little while later, the knights bring the girl and she can barely walk. When she almost falls, the man asks what happened and the main character asks to just wait a little. Her interlocutor is a little embarrassed, but then answers that it is impossible because the Duke said to come right now. The lady does not understand what he is talking about. And the man suggests that she go that way because she will have to go inside herself, and it would be better to go straight to the living room. And when she turns right, there will be the Duke's bedroom. A little while later, the lady enters the room, and the Duke says that she is long. The girl understands that it is Chiron, and the man asks if she has learned to walk. The lady replies that she walked a lot, after which the man sits down on the sofa and invites her to then walk straight to him. When the girl tries to do this, she falls to the floor, and her interlocutor asks her what she is doing. After all, you have to get to the end, and the lady gets up again and tries to go, after which the girl finally approaches him. And she happily claims that she succeeded, but the Duke replies that no, after which he is done and pulls her by the hand. And also puts her on the bed and says that she should have come right there. When he touches many ladies, he asks how long she walked, that they are so hot. When the lady's leg shakes a little, the Duke asks if it's really that hard for her. The main character replies that everything is fine. After which the man claims that it is excellent and offers to sing to him right now. For his sake, the man also remembers how a little while ago someone approached him, and he claimed that it was very cold now, and he spent all day just looking at the sea, after which he even asked if something was bothering him. The guy claimed that he thought the sea was beautiful, and therefore wanted to take it for himself. Wants to feel it with her own hands. Now the Duke wonders why she does nothing and tells her to sing. But the main character replies that she doesn't know the song. The man asks if she doesn't know what songs are. And had she not yet taught them? Or was she afraid to teach them since they really do carry a curse with them? Everyone tries to show their good side at first, but eventually, after some time, they can no longer hide their true self. This mermaid is a monster, which means she can definitely put him into eternal sleep. Apparently those people really did use her like a fish in an aquarium, and he wonders if the lady has heard of bearsies. The main character understands that he just started speaking their language, and the man says that apparently they really do use the ancient language. It seems berceau means the word lullaby, after which he tells the girl to sing berceau. He also asks why she is silent and suggests that she go to sleep quickly, after which the lady begins to do so. The man understands that this is not a song, but a spell that reveals very old memories. When he said he wanted to get the sea, but in reality he just wanted to fall into its arms. If he had plunged into eternal sleep, it would have been wonderful, and now the man says that it is now clear why he brought her there. It was he who said that legends are just nonsense, and apparently he really wanted the girl to charm him and plunge him into eternal sleep. After which he kisses the lady and at some point in shock asks what he is doing. The guy just tells her to continue because he didn't ask her to stop. Let her continue and fill it to the end with her song. The lady continues to sing, and the next day she wakes up first. When the girl gets out of bed, she sees Chiron next to her and realizes that they fell asleep like that yesterday. The girl also thinks what Chiron did to her yesterday, and it was something ticklish and also exciting. Now the lady understands what feelings arise when meeting Serenade well, when the lady touches his lips. Then the man opens his eyes at the same moment, and when the girl moves away, he only presses her into the bed. The lady is shocked and asks what he is doing and asks him to let go. The girl understands that she is in pain, after which she screams for him to let her go, and the Duke comes to his senses when he turns to the window. He says that the sun has risen, which means he was fast asleep. He also asks if the girl wants to take his soul, and if that's true, she's quite useful. He also calls the girl Melusine and claims that's her name now. A little while later, the maid cries out to her mistress and asks if she is okay and if she is in any pain. The maid also notices the lady's bow and asks if it was tied like that yesterday. She also turns to the lady and asks if Kurt did anything strange when they met at night. The main character asks if she is really talking about what happened at night, after which she even approaches the maid's ear. And he kisses her, and the maid screams at the mistress that this is not right. The girl says that this is how it was, and the woman asks if he really did this to her, and if they kissed. The main character asks what it means to kiss, and the woman answers that it is when lips touch, and also says that in future the lady should not kiss other people anymore. This is called a kiss, and they are very important because it is a special action, and it is done only with loved ones. Melusine repeats this word and thinks about doing special things with the people she loves. Then she even wonders if Chiron also considers her his mate, and that's why he even gave her a name. Now the girl pronounces this name out loud, and when the maid asks what the lady is talking about, she claims that her name is Melusine. The lady repeats her name with a smile on her face and realizes that she really has Serenheed. A short time later, Ian turns to the Duke in shock and asks if he had slept. The man replies that yes, and very strongly, and his interlocutor asks if this is true but is interested in how it happened. The Duke says that he does not know and understands that after the previous emperor was put into eternal sleep, he could not sleep normally for 5 years, even with sleeping pills. After which the servant says that maybe it's because of the mermaid, and if it's true, then today he should also sleep with her. The man is only wondering if this is what the servant came for at such a time. Lately he has no idea what Marquis Hesnel is doing. Ian asks for forgiveness and says that recently the Marquis has doubled the number of his soldiers compared to last year. And by the end of this year, the increase is expected to be 3 times greater, excluding the associates of the previous emperor. Most of the work was carried out through the imperial palace or the capital, and almost all of them were agreed. The Duke claims that this matter is larger than they thought last time, and his interlocutor claims that he agrees there. He also wonders whether it is worth sending people to the Marquis, and his master says that after 2 months they will not be needed, and only temporarily. After which the man turns once again to Count Jan von Ruthern and asks if he is sure. The guy asks what this is about, sir, but his interlocutor claims that he knows what it is about. And once again he asks if he is sure that he is ready to become a traitor with him. It is probably too late to say, but he does not have to become part of the plan. Anything can happen to Ian if he supports him. The man then turns to the Duke and his master asks him to be careful. After all, he is his deputy and not his vassal, to which he replies that yes, and asserts that what the master wants, he wants, and therefore he asks to be allowed to follow him to the very end. The man then repeats these words with a smile and thanks him for them, after which he states that Ian can go. To which he agrees and offers the Duke a good rest, because if necessary he will send the mermaid to him again at night. The man then repeats the word mermaid and understands that this girl is truly useful. He also wonders how long he needs to listen to her song to fall asleep forever. A little while later, someone claims that the Duke asks to call the mermaid. The maid immediately tells the lady that this is what she was talking about and the Duke will call her again. The gentleman definitely liked her, and it's good that she dressed up the lady in advance. The main character repeats the word liked, after which the knight leads her. He also says that the lady should be careful, and the maid understands that the knight is also a pine tree in appearance related to the mermaid lady. She had already spent the night with him, and everything was still in the castle. And this is the first time something like this has happened. The Duke definitely thinks about the mermaid in a special way. A little while later, the main character enters the room, but realizes that it is so dark that nothing can be seen. After which she thinks, where is Chiron? Well, at that very moment, someone hugs her from behind and calls her by name. It turns out to be the Duke, and the man says that she is late, but when he looks at the lady, he says that she has dressed up a lot today. The main character understands that she feels very strange when he touches her there and asks him to wait, and the man says, which seems awkward to her, after which he claims that he will help. When he tears off the traces of jewelry, he claims that because of this stupid maid, Melusine no longer smells like herself. The main character only nods in response, and the Duke suggests getting rid of these clothes. Melusina thinks what it means to get rid of and what needs to be done. She answers that she doesn't know, and the man asks if she doesn't know how to take off her clothes. He already said that he doesn't like animals that require a lot of care, after which he helps the lady take off her dress. And when she is left in her pajamas, he asks what happened and whether she has decided to be shy now. The girl immediately replies that it is convenient for her and thanks him, and the Duke claims that it is even funny that it makes her happy. But if she is truly grateful, then it's time to get down to business and let her sing Berceuse. After which the girl begins to sing, and the next morning she wakes up and realizes that the sun has already come out. The lady likes that lately. Chiron is always around, but it's even a pity that he didn't kiss her like last time because it was nice then. After which the lady touches his forehead and understands that in any case, they spend the night together, which means that she will soon give birth to a child. The girl hopes that she will be able to get pregnant soon, because both his nose and his eyes are really beautiful. At that same moment, the lady notices how the guy wakes up and then moves away. The Duke grabs the lady's hand and asks if Melusine can do that. The man also tells the girl not to cover herself, after which he kisses her. He moves closer to the lady's neck, and when he leaves a kiss on it, he tells her to breathe through her nose because before this they were just playing with their lips, and now he will show her how to do it correctly. So let the lady relax. A little while later, the girl is already in the garden. Someone turns to the mermaid and says that she needs to put on her shoes, but the ladies immediately scream that she is uncomfortable. The maid asks where the mistress ran to through the flowers, and the main character looking at them understands that there are even more flowers since last time. N told her the name of this flower, and it is freesia, after which the girl sees another creature on the flower and thinks what it is. After which the butterfly lands on someone's hand and the main character wonders if it's really a flower. But it moves. The Duke replies that it is not a flower, it is a butterfly, and when he releases it, he claims that it is the lady's tongue. Psych. The girl then repeats the word butterfly, and then everyone calls the Duke by name. She says his name again, and the man states that he is pleased that the lady learned his name, but then he gives her a flick on the head and tells her that she has terrible pronunciation, so she should try better, to which she agrees. And the man only leaves and states that he will call the lady's maid, so let her return inside after she has seen enough. The main character wonders if he is leaving, after which she claims that she wants to go together. The Duke replies that they can do as she wants. Letty runs up to Chiron, and the maid is still trying to catch up with her along with the shoes. A little while later, the girl is already watching the knights training with swords. The maid claims that she understands everything and asks the mistress why she kept the Duke until the training camp. He doesn't even look at her, and they just watch from the side. The maid asks if the mistress is even listening because it is dangerous there, and they can get hurt if they are not careful. But at the same moment, the girl tells N to look because this is Chiron, to which the woman replies that yes, and the Duke is truly incredible. Her father was also a knight in Triton Castle, and he said that only the Duke was human, who trained every day like this, after which the man screams the state is excellent and they can finish. The maid claims that they returned after the war, but her father still. However, the main character runs away at the same moment and screams to Chiron that she is coming. The woman asks the lady to wait and claims that she can't run so much, but the girl replies that she does what she wants. A little while later, the girl is already looking out the door, and the maid whispers to the mistress that this is absolutely not right. They need to go back to the room, or they will be scolded if they are noticed. The girl asks why the maid answers that the Duke is now having dinner with the Count. They must not be disturbed in their serious conversations. Melusine at this time talks about food, but the maid replies that now is not the time for this. At that moment, one of the servants asks what is going on there, and the maid immediately falls to her knees and asks for forgiveness because they will leave right now. Her interlocutor replies that everything is fine. The Duke is worried, so it is better not to stand there but to go in. The main character smiles immediately. A little while later, the lady is already sitting at the table. She tries to cut the fish, and the Duke asks how much he used this time, to which the servant replies that it came out to 60 million per. The man claims that it seems to have been even earlier than that report, where the emperor bought a diamond mine. Well, his interlocutor replies that there are no more precious stones there, so why such a purchase? It seems that Count Hensel is inciting him. The man claims that this table is still in a hurry and he does everything just to get the imperial treasures. The lady is still trying to eat the fish and creaking the cutlery, and the man asks if the Certus castle is finished yet. When the servant wants to continue, the girl creaks the cutlery even louder. After which he apologizes completely and also claims that the castle will be finished this year in early winter and is already being furnished from the inside. They want to open it by the day of the founding of the empire. So many aristocrats complain about the lack of labor. The man states that he seems to be happy, especially after the fact that he managed to avoid the influence of the previous emperor and the excellent timing for Count Hesnel. The butler replies that now some middle-class families have also decided to support them, but at that very moment the girl's table knife flies back. The man then says that she was invited to dinner, and Melusine doesn't even know how to behave at the table. A little while later, the girl sees a fish in front of her, and the man claims that he asked the maid to cook her usual food. He also asks if today is not very good what the girl is shaking her head at, and then asks Chiron, "What is this?" And the butler heard the lady addressing the gentleman by name and cried out, "Did she really just call him by name?" The Duke says that this is wrong because the stress should be placed on the first part of the name, and she should speak the second part more softly. The girl then tries to say this, and the man replies that she needs to practice more, and if it's uncomfortable with a fork, then let her eat as best she can, but let her not just sit there, after which the lady takes the fish in her hands and wishes her bon appétit. The Duke says that Melusine has a good appetite and asks if it is tasty. The girl replies that she really does, and thanks Chiron, and the man tells her to continue. And he wonders how many families have joined him. Ian is about to answer, but wonders what he's even looking at. A little while later, he asks if the gentleman even brought her there. The Duke asks who he is talking about, and his interlocutor replies that he is talking about a mermaid and that she has been with him a lot lately. The man suggests that the guy leave the girl alone and that it is funny. After all, the lady really thinks they don't see her. The servant claims that it's strange that the gentleman thinks this is funny. The man then claims that he is interested in watching how the animal gradually becomes tame, and his interlocutor asks if he has ever tamed animals. The Duke replies that he doesn't know and recalls that about 10 years ago someone claimed so, that the fox is constantly walking around with the master and wild foxes usually do not become attached to people. So it's curious. The guy then picked up the ladder and said he was tired of it being around all the time. His mentor claimed that he says this but always lets her into his room at night, and if the gentleman wants to raise a fox, then let him give it a name so as not to lose it. A little while later, the guy said that the fox should not come out from under the bed. After all, on that day the brother should come and he will hunt, and if she appears to him, then everything will be over. After which he repeated once again that she should not go out under any circumstances, but a little while later, he saw his fox already with terrible wounds. Now the man claims that he had a pet too. He also asks Ian if he knows that when you catch an animal, you need to build a good cage right away, to leave the door there and show over time that he will never be able to leave this place. Otherwise, he will be plunged into eternal sleep. A little while later, the two find themselves near the sea. The man asks if the lady likes him and insists that she can take a closer look. The main character agrees but asks what about him, to which the Duke replies that he will wait there because he needs to check something. When the lady goes further, she asks what he needs to check. The guy at this time remembers how he saw his fox with terrible wounds. He claimed that he had said not to go anywhere and repeated it so many times. At that moment, someone screamed for the gentleman to quickly go there. And the young man, looking at the forest, understood that her brother would soon catch her, and if he did this, he would cruelly plunge her into eternal sleep. So it's better that he did it himself. The girl at this time heads to the sea, and the servant tells the Duke that the mermaid will swim away now. The man tells him to wait, and they will see if she really will escape. Melusine realizes that she has not been to sea for so long. And it's so nice, Ian at this time turns to the gentleman and claims that her tail has appeared in the water again. The girl at this time thinks whether she can go further and nothing will happen or not, but the Duke at that very moment screams for her to come back right now. Melusine replies that she will be right back and understands that Chiron said that she can come closer. When the Duke screams again for her to come back, the girl only dives and the servant claims that she has disappeared, after which the brunette asks how she dared and runs to the sea. The guy once again remembers the words of the mentor, that if the master wants to raise a fox, then let him give it a name so as not to lose it. Now the man understands that one name is not enough for this, and then he should not have given the fox a name but tied her up, because if he didn't tie her to himself, then someone else could take her away. Then it would be better if he did it. But at that very moment the girl came out of the water and wrung out her hair. She also turns to Chiron, and the man only pulls her towards him and then kisses her. But at that very moment, he holds out a dagger to her throat and asks if she really misses the sea so much, and so much so that she wanted to leave him. The girl immediately replies that no, and she didn't want to. The lady understands that she just wanted to swim and not leave him. The Duke asks how he should believe her. You can't let the beast off the chain, and he was so careless. The main character thinks he's some kind of weird, and the Duke at this time suggests that she look at the sea carefully because she will not see it again. After which he begins to drag the lady by the hand, and she asks why Ian also turns to the Duke in surprise. But he only says that he should return with everyone to the castle and tell the servants today that he will not spend the night in the castle, but at the local guard post. A little while later, the girl asks Chiron to let her go because she is in pain. The man throws the lady on the bed and then climbs on top of her. He also asks what he should do with her. He is afraid that he will quickly let go of the leash and it will not be so interesting with the leash. The guys once again turn to Melusine and claim that it was he who gave her this name. So the lady must be obedient. Let her say that she obeys him and that she belongs to him and will follow him wherever he goes. The girl then repeats that she belongs to him, and the Duke at that very moment grabs her by the face and also suggests the lady not to repeat stupid things anymore. They won't be able to start like that because first they need to make the lady wet, after which he lowers his hand lower and the main character screams in shock. The girl also tells him not to do this because it is so strange. But the Duke only tells her to relax and then claims that the girl is smart. The main character understands that this is not at all like last time, and they spent the night together then, but now they really can have a child. The man then lifts the lady into his arms and Melusine wonders if this is the end. Her interlocutor replies that of course not because the night will be long. A little while later, the Duke says that the lady did not bite his finger, but the main character understands that inside it is so unusual, so pleasant, and she constantly makes sounds. The man then claims that he did say to relax, and the girl understands that she feels this way for the first time. It's strange and unusual, but she still enjoys it, and that's how it can be. The girl also understands that she wants to see Chiron's face, after which she kisses him and says that it is nice. After which the night continues, and the next morning when the girl opens her eyes, she sees a maid in front of her. The woman asks if the lady is awake and claims that she is so glad that the lady is awake. She was so worried because the mistress had not woken up for 2 days, and now the maid asks if she feels well. Melusine answers that she feels well and asks where they are. The woman replies that this is the mistress's room and asks if it is in order. At this time, the girl asks where Chiron is. Her interlocutor answers that the Duke is not there, he is meeting a guest. Countess Hesnal arrives at the castle, and she will generally become the Duke's bride. The main character wonders if it means one man and one woman, and the maid replies that yes, and only 2 people enter into marriage. They swear before God that they will spend their whole lives with each other, and before that they get engaged, but the main character says that Chiron spent the night with her too. And with that beautiful woman, to which her interlocutor replies that it is a little different from marriage. Still, his lordship is not yet engaged, so in theory he can afford this, and to be honest, he is a blood relative of the ruling dynasty, and therefore is free to do whatever he wants. Melusine replies that she doesn't know, because the more children there are, the better it will be for everyone. Organica asks where the lady heard such a thing, after which the maid also claims that she will not be there today after lunch, and the girl asks why. To which the woman replies that the head maid gave everyone instructions, and she will need to go to the city center. The girl asks what it is, and her interlocutor pumps out that this place is behind the castle walls, and there are a lot of people there who are selling something. Especially now, since Thanksgiving is coming up and the Empire's biggest festival is taking place at this time, there will be a performance and all sorts of souvenirs, after which the lady claims that she will also go. But the maid answers the mermaid lady that she cannot because she needs to have a good rest today. Melusine thinks why not and looks at the maid with puppy eyes. After which she even asks what she can do if it is impossible. A little while later, someone turns to Ian and asks if they can definitely go out with her. The woman replies that Count Luthern gave permission, and she quotes his words that since she is so eager and still not very good at walking, she won't go far. And anyway, thanks to the mermaid lady, they are riding in a carriage. The girl at this time turns to N, and she asks, what is that there, because this animal has some red algae on its head. Her interlocutor asks if the lady is talking about a chicken, and the girl at this time notices another animal and says that Togo has feathers on top. The maid answers the mermaid's mistress that these are birds. The lady at this point points to something else and claims that it is like a shiny octopus. At the same moment, the maid screams for the lady to stop and climb into the carriage. A little while later, they arrive at the place, and the maid says that they have arrived. The woman also claims that she will quickly go to that shop over there and ask if the lady can wait for her. The main character agrees, after which the maid asks the knight to look after the frozen one. The other one claims that she is already tired. When the girl goes further, she realizes that there is so much that was not in the castle, and in the world of Chiron, there are such smells and sounds. The lady looks around, but at that very moment she begins to hear some familiar sound. The girl is shocked and wonders if this is really what she thinks about. The knight tells the lady that she shouldn't run away alone. The main character immediately replies that she will come now and understands that this is definitely her sister's song. The guy asks her to wait, but the girl immediately runs towards where the sound is coming from. Melusine realizes that her sister is there, and the woman at that time falls and claims that she is falling into eternal sleep. Someone asks if it's that old woman again and suggests not to approach her because you could get infected with something else. The woman at this time says that he should still wait for her. But this is so sad. The main character addresses the lady in the language of mermaids and asks what is wrong with her and whether she is sick. The woman at that moment approaches the lady, and the main character wonders if she is just hungry and not sick. Her interlocutor replies that yes, and she falls into an eternal sleep from hunger and wonders if the girl is really her sister, and also asks for help. The main character smiles after this, and the knight runs up to the carriage and says that she will get into trouble like that, after which he offers to go to the carriage. But the girl only takes one of the fish and tells him to give it to her because her sister is very hungry. The knight asks what kind of sister she is and where she comes from, and also why the lady needs a fish. But Melusine thanks him and runs away. A little while later, the carriage stops in front of them. The man screams for this crazy girl to get out of the way right now while the knight runs to the lady. Then the main character asks this coachman to wait because this woman is hungry and needs more. At the same moment, this man gets off the carriage and asks if the lady even understands who she is, throwing herself under the carriage. He also swings his arm to hit her. But at that very moment, someone tells the man to take his hand away. The man asks what it is, but his interlocutor only asks if he is deaf, after which he repeats once more that he should quickly remove his hand. At the same moment, the coachman asks his lordship for forgiveness. The main character at that very moment runs up to Chiron and hugs him and also claims that she missed him very much. But the Duke looks displeased, and the lady wonders what happened. At that moment, someone gets out of the carriage and asks if this is his lordship. The man then turns to Lady Hesnel, and the woman claims that they haven't seen each other for a long time and apologizes for such a commotion. The Duke suggests that she not say anything because it is his fault. And his interlocutor says that he is so noble because the Duke is a true hero of the Empire, and they say that he recently accomplished another feat. The man replies that the Marquis said that the lady would visit him next week. Hey, the girl asks if she was in such a hurry. She was curious about Triton's castle and wanted to see it as soon as possible. After all, this place will become her home, and she hopes that she will not cause inconvenience to the Duke, to which he replies that no. He also says that he is taking the lady, and the woman, with a smile on her face, replies that she is glad of his invitation. She also looks at the mermaid a little coldly, after which she takes the Duke's hand and states that, of course, she will not refuse such an honor. But she wonders what kind of people they are and whether he can introduce her. The main character is a little scared by this, and Chiron claims that there is no need for this. After all, raising pets is very difficult, to which the woman replies that she understands, and the more beautiful the animal, the more difficult it is to look after it. When the main character wants to turn to Chiron, the man only tells Melusine to behave decently. After which the girl leaves, remembers his terrible look, and feels some kind of pain in her heart. At this time, the woman behind smiles and claims that when the time comes, the girl should choose the sea. Whatever happens. The main character asks what she is talking about, and her sister confirms that if the lady starts thinking it will be too late. A little while later, Melusine is sitting in her room. The maid asks the mermaid lady if she won't leave her room today, but the weather outside is so wonderful. The girl replies that yes, and claims that today he did not come again. The maid claims that she had already told the lady that his lordship was very busy. When he finishes his business, he will definitely find her, but the lady asks if she can go to him herself. The woman replies that this is definitely not possible and let the lady just wait, because the gentleman himself will come to her and let her be patient a little. She also asks if the lady would like to take a walk in the garden to dispel her sadness, because new roses have been planted there which are very beautiful. A little while later, the main character walks through the garden and realizes that N is a liar because there is nothing funny in the garden. last time she was there with Chiron. But at that moment, the lady hears someone asking if they can go through. The girl comes out of her thoughts, and her interlocutor claims that she did not want to disturb her, after which she even says that she knows this lady and asks if she remembers her. The woman claims that she is glad to meet again, but asks what the girl's name is since his lordship called her by some name. The main character replies that her name is Melusine, and the woman says that it is definitely an unusual and beautiful name. She also asks Lady Melusine if she would like to take a walk together. As they walk on, the woman claims that their last meeting was not under the best of circumstances, so they were unable to get to know each other properly. The woman asks what family the lady is from, or more precisely, what country. The main character just looks at her in bewilderment, and he understands that this woman speaks so difficultly and she needed to come there with N, and her interlocutor kind of asks where she is from. The woman at this time asks if she is from the kingdom of Clement or Maquillan, to which the girl replies that if she doesn't answer, she is from Bercez. The blonde asks if this is really true, and the main character replies that yes, and this is the sea. Her interlocutor claims that this is strange, because as far as she knows, there is no country there. There are legends that mermaids live near some islands. And does the girl really want to say that she is a fairy tale mermaid? To which the main character replies that this is exactly so. At that very moment, one of the maids screams out, "What kind of nonsense is this? What kind of brain must there be to carry such nonsense?" The blonde suggests that the maid calm down because it is interesting, and then she says that this is true, because his lordship said that an animal is growing. This is good because now she cannot worry, and usually he was not interested in anything, but if the girl is a mermaid, then everything is different. Anyone would gladly take such a treasure into their hands, and she didn't think that the Duke was so humane. She is even glad that she discovered his other side, but then the main character asks what her name is, to which the woman replies that she is Estelle Hesnel. She is also the daughter of the Marquis and the bride of his lordship. This is the last time she is allowed to speak to her on a first-name basis. The main character wonders if Estelle is the bride and realizes that she cannot understand everything she says. After which the girl asks if she also spent the night with Chiron. The woman is silent for a while after that, and then he tells the girl not to piss her off quite coldly. She also wonders what kind of question this is and whether the girl really thought that the world had fallen at her feet, since she caught his lordship's eye and ended up in his arms, or she had already managed to get pregnant. The girl then says the word child and claims that not yet, but soon. The woman wonders what soon means and let her not even dare to dream about it. But she even feels sorry for the girl because if she gets pregnant, she will definitely fall into eternal sleep. The main character repeats these words in surprise, and the woman asks if she doesn't understand why she is now turning a blind eye to her antics. For the aristocrats of the empire, affairs on the side are not such a big problem everywhere. The main thing is not to disrupt the continuity. In their country, illegitimate children are treated worse than criminals, so why did the girl think that his lordship would be happy about her offspring? The Archduke, who had already suffered because of rumors that he was the illegitimate son of the former emperor, and he didn't need the girl at all. Even if she gives birth, the Archduke will personally kill her and her foundling. But in general, let Melusine live in her dreams further, after which Estelle even thanks her for the walk. A short time later, someone approaches the Duke and claims that he heard that they met with Estelle outside the castle. She left home so quickly and immediately came to meet him, so the Duke could be surprised, but he hopes that he understands the situation. The man replies that it doesn't bother him, so the Marquise doesn't need to apologize, and he replies that the gentleman is still as cold as ever. Chiron wonders if this is true, and the Marquise came to him to discuss something once before the reception. His interlocutor replies that he wants to know how serious he is about taking the throne, and perhaps he has already determined the appropriate day and hour. The guy replies that he wanted to ask if there was a reason to rush in such a way, because lately he has been acting almost openly. The Marquis, with a smile on his face, replies that it is impossible to deceive the master, and that the new castle will be completed in the winter. Let his lordship think about it. The old emperor will die in the castle that he spent so long building, and the new one will start a new era. So doesn't it seem to him that it will be simply amazing? The Duke asks if after the castle is completed, he wants to put the emperor into eternal sleep and seize the throne. His interlocutor replies that the majority of the nobles are already on their side anyway, and that unrest is raging in the country while the emperor is only busy with construction. If they take advantage of the situation, everything will be fine, but the duke claims that the empress will give birth in the spring. If they make a mistake, it will lead not only to internal discord, but also to the claims of neighboring countries. The man claims that he is telling the truth, but they have been preparing for this for a long time, and he is afraid that the enemy might find out about their plans. After all, the aristocrats have long been dissatisfied with the emperor. The duke then says that how could it be that the marquis simply wants to get rid of Lady Estelle before her wedding? If he immediately places him on the throne, then his daughter upon marriage will immediately receive the status of empress. But his interlocutor asks what his lordship is talking about. The man then sighs and claims that he got carried away with his jokes, but they hadn't seen each other for a long time and now he got carried away. The Marquis says that he understands the master's concerns and that he still needs to decide on the exact day after which he thanks his lordship, and he claims that he would like to add that he stood on his side not only in order to make his daughter an empress. After all, he always served only him, and the Duke replies that it is clear and he is also very pleased. A little while later, the Marquis comes out and the servant asks how everything went and whether his lordship is still against it. The man asks if this is possible, and his interlocutor claims that it was the Duke who had been postponing the implementation of the plan for so long. After which the man suggests that he not worry because only His Highness hates the Emperor more than them. How many times did the Emperor send him to war, and does the guy really think that he is eager to obey orders? If he has the opportunity to seize the throne for himself, and that is why he accepted the engagement with Estelle. The smooth thing is that the Duke's hatred for the current and past Emperor is incredibly great. So let him not worry because the Duke will definitely not betray them. At this time, Chiron is sitting in his room. He remembers how he begged his brother to stop, and the man replied that it was very difficult for him and asked where the guy got so naive. Does it really bother him that he gave the order to put his mentor into eternal sleep? And he still grieves for the traitor. Chiron turned to his brother with a shaking voice. And he only asked if the guy knew what Marquis Hesnel sang to him there. He said that after Duncan's immersion in eternal sleep, the boy is tormented by nightmares and he allegedly does not want to fight anymore. His brother also asked if the future Duke can afford such nonsense, and today he will correct his weakness. The man also turned to Marquis Hesnel and told him to close the door, in response to which the man agreed. Now the Duke, with a smile on his face, says that such a man could not always serve only him. At the same moment, someone else enters the room and asks if his lordship is free. The man asks what happened, and Ian replies that this afternoon the servant saw Lady Hesnel and the mermaid in the garden. The man claims that he didn't like her behavior from the market, and apparently the girl personally decided to talk to Melusina. Ian still apologizes after this and claims that he shouldn't have let her out, and that maybe it would have been better to keep the mermaid in her room. Estelle is not an idiot, and she is currently calculating whether Melusine could threaten her position. Interfering and standing up for her would be stupid. The Duke then says that this means they will continue to watch, and when she sees that he is not so interested in Melusine, when he understands his sincere intentions, then leave him alone. The maid is combing her mistress's hair at this time, and when someone enters the room, the woman says that this girl is finally there. Estelle also wonders if she is Melusine's maid, and asks why her mistress called her, and the woman replies that there is no need to tremble so much because she would like to become friends with her lady, and a masquerade ball will take place soon, so she would like to see her there. The blonde also asks if the girl can bring her in, then says that the lady does not have control over her body that well yet, but at that very moment the girl realizes that something tells her that showing her the mermaid lady is not the best decision. And she remembers the Count's words that his lordship ordered that no decisions be made regarding the mermaid without his direct participation. The mermaid lady is important to the Duke, and she can't just send her to the ball. At this time, Estelle asks if it is possible to, which the maid replies that yes, and asks for forgiveness. But at the same moment, the other maids grab the girl and sit her on their laps. The women wonder what the girl took that it was a request. After all, this is an order, so it's worth starting the conversation again. A little while later, someone enters Lady Melusine's room and claims that Lady Estelle ordered her to be taken away, after which he asks if the girl is ready. The maid asks if it was Lady Estelle who ordered it. The woman replies that yes, she ordered the lady to be brought as soon as possible. Let it be very cold in the summer now, so you need to put on shoes. The maid immediately replies that, of course, and puts shoes on the lady. The main character replies that she doesn't want it. It's the maid who asks the mermaid lady to be patient today, because suddenly she will meet his lordship at the ball. After which, the girl whispers that the lady should ask him for help when they meet. A little while later, another maid takes the girl away and claims that there is no time, so she suggests going quickly. And she also hands the lady a mask and says that she needs to put it on. The main character does it but thinks that she doesn't understand what's going on. But if she meets Chiron, as N said, will she understand everything and why this place is so strange? When a girl enters the hall, she realizes that he is very handsome. At the same moment, someone greets the lady and asks if she is lost. Melusine replies that she is looking for Siren, and one of the men asks if she is talking about the Archduke. Another one claims that he has seen this pink hair somewhere before, and isn't this the girl who was with him in the city? At the same moment, one of the aristocrats asks, who is this look on her wearing the mask of a cheap dancer? The lady with the blonde hair claims that they say she entered the castle with the Duke, and perhaps his lordship decided to brighten up the evening by sending a dancer to the ball. One of the aristocrats says, that's what it is. And as expected from his lordship, he knows how to have fun. At the same moment, someone pulls the lady by the hair and asks where he found such a rare bird with pink hair. You can't leave a dancer idle, so let her start dancing already. The main character is horrified by this, and at the same moment, someone puts a hand on her shoulder, and also claims that she is glad to meet again. Melusine wonders if this is Estelle, and her interlocutor says that it seems the lady still does not fully understand her place. She sees that these people want her, and isn't that the same thing that his lordship wants from her? The main character wants to object, but the woman tells her to do whatever she wants because no one will help her. After which she pushes the lady, and when the girl falls into someone's arms, he raises his head and asks who he is. But when the lady looks closely, she says that it is Chiron. The man immediately takes the lady out of the hall, and the aristocrats ask what is going on. And isn't that his lordship? Ian asks in shock if they're serious, and one of the women asks why he's so angry. The blonde at this time only silently watches everything. A little while later, the Duke already addresses the girl, and she claims that he told her to sit quietly, so why does she always do things her own way? Melusine replies that she wanted to see him, and that's why she came. The man claims that she told him in such an outfit just to see him, and does she really want him to treat her the way he treats women in such masks? After which he kisses the lady, and the girl understands that she is pleased but not enough. At this time, Chiron says to Melusine that this is her last chance and let her stop behaving recklessly, and also come home. The lady at that moment grabs Chiron by the clothes and claims that she wants to see him, and also wonders if he will come to her room again. The girl also wonders if he is not interested in her. The Duke turns to the lady and says that it seems she has imagined something and that she means nothing to him. There is nothing between them, and if the girl started to have some strange feelings for him, then she should stop because it's just her imagination. After which he leaves and the main character is left alone. A little while later, the blonde approaches the lady and says that she made such a noise and is now standing there. This is the garden of the old palace, and his lordship did not have enough patience, so he brought her there, but he can be understood. After all, this was Lady Melusine's first ball, so she had to be more careful, for example, with her mask. Only dancers wear these, which is why people treated it so superficially. She also wonders if his lordship asked her where she got such a mask from, and apparently he already considers it insignificant. The main character then turns to Estelle and sadly asks if she doesn't like her. The woman replies that this is not true, but she likes it better when people know their place. She also asks if the lady still wants to get pregnant by Chiron, to which the main character replies that she does, but her interlocutor claims that this is impossible because for him, a lady is just a toy that he can play with without consequences. He takes care of her and doesn't want anyone else to play with her, but no one else keeps toys for the rest of their lives. And when the lady gets tired of him, he will either throw her out or even plunge her into eternal sleep. After all, why in her opinion did he leave her there alone and now he threw her out? The main character almost cries and wonders if she was really abandoned. She also remembers the Duke's words that these feelings are only her imagination, and then let it stop getting on his nerves. Melusine wonders if she's really boring and Chiron has abandoned her. The lady knows what it's like to throw the wind. Lynx that couldn't give birth to a child are also considered abandoned. This is the end, and there is no way to go back, which means that this is the end between them. Arzgursky at this time heads to the terrace and remembers the lady's words, that she only wanted to see him. At the same moment, someone else turns to his lordship and asks why he is standing there alone. Did he really lose something? But she didn't find anything there. The man thanks the lady for worrying about him. And then the woman asks if she can ask him for something and wonders if he will give her a dance. They say that the last couple to dance on Thanksgiving Day will live happily ever after. They will go hand in hand for their whole lives towards marriage, and the woman is wondering if his lordship will agree. The man asks, "Why isn't it necessary?" The woman claims that she doesn't understand what he's talking about. But I can tell him one thing, and that is that the flying bugs can be ignored. However, if it is a poisonous beetle, then a smart person will make a medicine out of it. It was the Duke who gave the knife to the doll he was going to throw away. After which, the woman turns to his lordship once again and asks if he will take her hand. The man then apologizes, but claims that he still seems to have left something in the garden. Estelle, hearing this, becomes furious, but then sighs. The main character is standing near the sea at this time. She also recalls how one of the mermaids claimed that it is not easy to get pregnant, and it is very rare that it happens the first time. Therefore, if the life of a non-lady is in danger and she cannot fulfill the goal, she can always return and let her not forget that the most important thing for them is a child. Now the lady remembers that Estelle said that Chiron would be put into an eternal sleep of the child if she became pregnant, and the woman claimed that the Duke would personally plunge her and her foundling into eternal sleep. Now the lady understands that she needs to find another serenade, at least for the sake of the child, so she will return to her sisters. If they ask where the lady was, she will only say that she was caught and held by people. She will also tell about Chiron, and she thought that he was her serenade, but it was just an obsession. The girl thinks how wrong she was about him, but at that very moment she hears someone smiling. At the same moment, the Duke grabs the lady by the hand and asks since when this place became her room. The lady suggests that he stop, and the man claims that he told her to stop doing whatever she wants and that this is her last chance. After which he grabs the girl and she asks him to wait, after which the guy just covers her mouth and tells her to just shut up. Melusine realizes that it is hard for her to breathe and wonders why he was looking for her since he himself told her to leave and not to bother him. And he did leave her. The man replies that he doesn't understand what she's talking about and suggests they talk in the castle. The main character then answers that no and claims that if he didn't leave her, and in her thoughts, she adds that she wants to check whether Chiron can really become her serenade. The lady realizes that she wants a child from him. The Duke then puts his hand on the lady's petro. And when he lowers her lower, the girl screams, and the Duke suggests that she hold on tighter. He also asks if the lady dared to think about escaping and that she should not even dare to allow such a thought, because he won't let her. The main character says that it's too scary and too fast. And the Duke replies that yes, so let her hold on tighter because he is nearby, after which the man kisses her. A little while later, the two find themselves in bed and the Duke turns to Melusine. He tells her not to close her eyes but to look at him. The girl says that she feels good. She also claims that she only has eyes for Chiron, so she asks him not to leave. The ladies claim that she will do whatever he wants, so she asks him again not to leave. The guy asks if this is true and claims that he has no special wishes, but she will still have to make an effort. So let the lady try. The lady claims that she likes it there and asks to do it again. The girl understands that she is warm, and she wants them to stay like this together forever. The next morning, the lady wakes up and wonders where she is. The Duke at this time asks if she is awake. He also says that yesterday the lady passed out, but he thinks that now she still has strength. The main character answers that no, but at the same moment she notices something else on the bed and asks what it is. The man replies that it is a pearl, and the lady asks if that is true, to which he replies that yes, it is a precious stone that can only be obtained from the goddess of the sea. If you think about it, there is a legend that when mermaids cry, their tears turn into pearls, and it seems to be true. This did not happen when the girl was with Barton. He probably deliberately tormented her in order to get the pearls. Melusine replies that they don't cry, so she doesn't know, and asks if people cry often. The girl also asks when people cry, and Kieran remembers moments from his childhood. and he claims that they cry when they are hurt and sad, but crying does not produce pearls because tears are useless. After which he kisses the lady again and asks if she is tired, to which the girl replies that no, and she likes it. She also claims that she will carry Chiron's child, so she offers to do it again, and the man replies that they will do as she says. A little while later, the servant turns to his lordship and asks how long he plans to stay there. The man asks if he is really in his palace but must indicate the date of departure. His interlocutor replies that he is not in the palace but in a villa, and that the Marchioness of Hesnall waited for him all night in her room. It seems that the Marquis realized what happened at the ball, and if he will stay there any longer. The Duke asks what will happen then because the ball was organized perfectly, so why did he go all the way there? The servant claims that the day of rebellion is coming soon, and he thought it would be worth being careful. The man replies that he has thought a lot about this, and the Marquis of Hesnall and his daughter seem to not understand something. After all, it is they who need him and not the other way around. Ian turns to his lordship in surprise, and he claims that rumors may spread that he and the Marquis are plotting a coup. The man turns to Ian and tells him to listen carefully. After all, raising the victorious flag in battle is not the main thing, and in order to fully achieve victory, you need to return from the battle to the mainland alive. He thinks narrowly, and the guy replies that he understood the gentleman, after which he says that it's good, and also claims that they have gone too far and cannot give up everything because of a minor problem. A little while later, the maid says that this is the Villa Triton. She heard that it was used during the time of the previous empress and even much earlier. Everything there looks completely new, and the maid claims that there are rumors that His Majesty stayed there in his youth, and maybe the lady was brought there for a reason, to which the girl replies that she doesn't know, and then apologizes and claims that she is probably too excited. The main character asks if she likes it there, to which the maid replies that of course. And to tell the truth, it is a great honor for her to work in His Majesty's palace, but she should not even have set foot in such a historical place with you. It seems to her that only important persons can walk there. After which, the girl claims that Count Ian conveyed that the lady was looking for her. He said that the lady wanted her and not another person. The girl also understands that she has done something so wrong to the lady. Well, the main character at this time turns to Anne and claims that she likes that she is there and she missed her. The woman then turns to Miss Mermaid and asks her to forgive her because she was only thinking about herself. She regretted sending her there so much, and in the future such a thing will never happen again. Melusine asks if the maid is okay, and she replies that yes, and she is completely okay. The woman also asks if Miss Mermaid wants to take a bath and she will comb her hair, but the Duke standing at the door says that there is no need to preen so much. The main character, seeing Chiron, immediately runs to him and hugs him. The girl claims that she missed him, and the man picks her up in his arms and asks if she has been a good girl today. Melusine claims that it is very high, after which she tells him to lower it faster. At this time, Granichnaya claims that she is leaving and thinks that it is good that she prepared a bath with rose petals in advance today. When they get into the bath, the Duke claims that the lady is in the water, but her legs are still there. He also asks if the tail only appears in the sea, to which the girl replies that it's strange that there is no tail. And her interlocutor says that this is excellent, and means that while the lady is far from the sea, she will not be able to escape from him. The lady then pushes him away a little, and the guy asks what happened, because she acted as if she wanted to cuddle with him, but the girl says that her whole body hurts so much. The Duke asks if it is because of him, and the lady replies that of course it is, after which he kisses the girl and asks what they should do. Then he also claims that he will make amends. And the main character, looking at Chiron, understands that he is so handsome, and even if she tries to lie, she won't be able to say that she doesn't like it. At this time, the man says that if she sings a lullaby, they will not do anything. Melusine asks if it is really necessary to do it there, to which he replies that yes, after which the girl begins to sing. The guy almost falls asleep, but at that moment he hears the lady coughing. He immediately wonders what happened. And the main character replies that it smells strange there and there is a very strong odor. The man replies that it is because of the fire, and the girl remembers that N showed her the fire. It is very dangerous and will hurt if you come close. The man at this time claims that when he was 5 years old, this villa almost burned down. That's when he found himself. The main character immediately screams, "Was Chiron really in danger? And was he hurt?" The girl also asks where it was, to which the guy replies that it was in this room. A little while ago, the maid approached his lordship and asked if he was still making the wooden sword, since it was already late. Well, the boy replied that he had a new brother and he wanted to give him a present. The woman claimed that this was His Majesty's heir, so he should call him nephew and not brother, to which the guy agreed. He also pointed to the hilt of the sword and claimed that he had heard that the November birthstone was topaz, so he wanted to put a topaz there. The young man asked if his nephew would like it too, which the woman replied that of course it was an excellent sword. Chiron said that it would be good if his brother liked it too, but at that moment someone burst into the room. The man screamed at his lordship that they must run immediately because there was a fire in the house and the villa was burning. The butler turned to his lordship and told him to go there, but at that very moment a piece of wood fell on the maid. The woman asked how this was possible, and the butler told his blonde one to climb onto his back because he needed to get out of there faster. The young man then claimed that they would all fall into eternal sleep if things continued like this. He also told them to cover their faces with this and never act hastily. Let them go the way he knew. The butler agreed to this in response, and a little while later, they finally got out of the villa. The moment they came out, the ceiling collapsed, and the three looked at it all in horror. The guy asked why there was a sudden fire, and the man replied that he didn't know. He discovered a fire on the second floor right next to His Majesty's bedroom, and there was nothing nearby that could have contributed to the fire, so he does not know the cause. After this, the young man thought about what his brother could do and then completely lost consciousness. The butler turned to his lordship in shock and asked him to come to his senses. A little while later, someone turned to Chiron, and he claimed that it had dawned on him that the guy had refused to meet with the Empress several times and was removing the Empress as the ruler of the empire. The young man answered his brother that no, and he simply wanted Her Majesty the Empress to rest a little because she had looked too tired lately. Her Majesty the Empress is about to give birth to a child, and the man claimed that the Empress was carrying a prince. His brother is not just a child because he is a prince who will rule the empire, and he knows how his opinion always surprises him. The man claimed that he felt sorry for the boy who had suffered from all sorts of dirty speculations since birth, so he raised him himself. The young man has the power and the ability to rule the entire empire, which is why he is afraid of him, and someday he will plunge him into eternal sleep to take his place, and if he knew that it would be so, he wouldn't have taken him in from the very beginning. The guy understands that his brother was afraid of him and couldn't overcome his fear. Therefore, he decided to plunge him into eternal sleep, and when the young man opened his eyes, he turned to his brother again and also understood that his brother felt sorry for him, but that day he felt that his brother was the most pathetic person in the world. He had such ridiculous suspicions that he decided to put him into eternal sleep. The boy thought that maybe he had gone crazy after a lifetime spent on the battlefield, so he worked even harder to prove his brother wrong. However, he only realized it after going this far. In the end, his brother was right, because he put him into eternal sleep. But at the same moment, someone says that everything is fine and that he should not think about it anymore and also forget about everything, so that he can fall into a deep sleep. The man then closes his eyes. A little while later, someone asks if a civil war has broken out in the Duke of Barton's family line. The servant claims that they even reject His Majesty's message and insist on the independence of their territory. The Duke asks what scale. His interlocutor answers that it seems large and the Lord alone cannot cope. A little while ago, the girl asked if he should go, to which the man replied that there was nothing wrong with it and that he would be back soon. Well then, the main character suggested doing it again, to which her interlocutor claimed that he didn't even know what to do. Melusine claimed that she wanted a child. The girl approaches him, and the Duke tells her to wait. The main character then asks if he wants a child, and when the Duke turns to her, the lady thinks that she is being very disturbed. Estelle's words about him putting her and her child into eternal sleep. The girl wants to make sure they are false and wants to believe Chiron. The main character hopes that he will become her siren guardian. The man at this time asks if she says that she wants a child from him. And speaking about fish, she said that she wants this, then she needs to move well. He also tells the lady to come to him, and then he puts a bracelet on the lady's leg. The main character asked what it was, and the man replied that it was shackles. The lady claimed that she was ticklish, but the guy just said that it suited her very well and was interested. Should I bring her something like a neck wrap next time and cover it with it? After which he pressed the lady to the bed and claimed that he hoped that Melusine would never even think about going near the beach again. Let the fly not forget about it. A little while later, the servant apologizes but claims that his lordship ordered the lady not to go out. He especially can't let her go down to the beach, and how many days does he repeat this? Well, the girl says she feels very bad, and the maid asks if she can't just take a little walk. She asks the count for a favor. It's been a whole month since his lordship left the castle, and he can't imagine how lonely Miss Mermaid is now. The servant claims that he heard that these days they learn to use cutlery. The maid replies that not one day. Well, it's impossible to learn to hold a fork all day long. In addition, Miss Mermaid is learning table etiquette, and the main character claims that she is very bored. If she approaches the sea where Chiron's ship sails, she will be able to find out when he arrives. The girl asks if she should really go in or if they can go together. After this, the servant cries out in irritation that he was told that this cannot be done. But a little while later, he finds himself on the seashore and once again repeats the word no. He also offers to keep it a secret from his lordship and the maid, thanks the count, and claims that she will keep an eye on Miss Mermaid. A little while later, the maid turns to the miss and states that today it is absolutely impossible to go far away. The main character asks if people don't like the sea and why they can't go there. The woman answers that it's not that they don't like it, and for the inhabitants of Triton, the sea is their dawn. However, this is also the most frightening thing for them because she lost her father at sea and therefore became very cautious. The main character then turns to N a little sadly, but at that very moment she hears something, and when she turns around she says that this can't be. After all, this is Inia. The maid asks if she is talking about dolphins, and the main characters answer that maybe she knows one of them. The girl also claims that she will introduce N to the Iniam, and the woman screams for Miss Mermaid to wait. But the main character says that if N has a friend, Inia, she too will not be afraid of the sea. Then the main character jumps there, and the maid tells Miss Mermaid that she looked away for just a moment. The servant at that moment screams to call people because I also need to save the mermaid. The maid turns to the count a little surprised. And the man claims that the shackles that the mermaids are wearing are made of zeolite. It is a gemstone that becomes heavier when exposed to seawater. At this time, the main character is going to the bottom and thinks that this is strange because her legs are very heavy. She also recalls the Duke saying that he hoped the lady would never even think of going near the beach again. The lady understands that she should not forget the promise she made to Chiron, and she twice broke the promise given to her keeper of the sirens, and the girl wonders if the sea has now taken a dislike to her. So she tries to put her into eternal sleep. The maid sits on the shore and cries. At that moment, the Duke emerges from the water, and the maid immediately turns to Miss Mermaid. The man claims that he just returned to the castle, and she immediately shows him her beautiful side. He also asks if Melusine will behave like this until the very end. And when the lady was diving into one sea, she remembered how she asked the maid if people really don't like the sea, and she answered that it is the most frightening thing for them because she lost her father in the sea. The girl wondered if this is what falling into eternal sleep really looks like and if it's lonely, cold, and very scary. At that moment, the main character opens her eyes and screams. The Duke says that she has finally woken up. The main character turns to the guy in surprise and asks if it's really him, but the man just suggests that she sit quietly. He also touches the lady and says that there is no damage, but she almost drowned, so it is better to rest. Chiron asks what is going on because he ordered her not to go to the sea. He also wonders if the girl doesn't understand what they are telling her. And is it all because she is an animal? The main character answers that if she didn't answer, she would have seen a dolphin. The man asks if that's really why she did it. And does she really like to suffer so much? The main character feels a sharp pain in her leg and wonders if Chiron can let go because it hurts. The man asks if he should let her go, and who knows if she will run away this time. He doesn't like the same thing happening over and over again, so she shouldn't think that he'll hold her back all the time. It is useless to explain this to her, after which the main character only turns to Chiron and asks him to hug her, after which the Duke kisses her. A little while later, the girl is lying in bed again, and the man is addressing her, and suggests waking up. The main character says that she is ticklish and smiles. The man claims that they prepared food for her, and the main character asks, "Why doesn't he undress?" The Duke asks what she's talking about, and the lady answers that she had never seen him take off his clothes, but she was interested. The Duke then gave the lady a flick on the forehead, and he suggests to stop talking nonsense and also to eat. The main character then asks why he does this so often, but at the same moment, she sees the food and is happy. The man claims that it is not necessary to use cutlery, so let her eat as she pleases. Well, the lady replies that if she doesn't answer, she will try with cutlery and she will succeed today. The Duke says that she has the instruments in the wrong hands, and the main character immediately changes them, and also says that now she will succeed. The girl claims that she trained a lot, but when she tries to do something, she fails, and the lady claims that she had succeeded before. The man asks if this is true, but insists that she is definitely doing better than before. The girl says that it is because she wanted to eat as much as Chiron he would have liked it. She wanted to see him smile for real, and the girl says that she wants this every day. The man claims that there will soon be a ball in honor of the emperor's birthday, and indicates that they will congratulate him on the day he was born. This time, he will be gone for at least a month, and the main character asks how long it will be, to which the man replies that it will be a very long time. Then the lady asks if she can be with him too, because without him she is so scared and afraid. Stay alone. The man says that maybe that's what we should do, and that they should go to the imperial palace together. A little while later, they are already heading in a carriage, and the maid claims that they are all going to the imperial palace, and there are so many accompanying soldiers there. The woman also says that since there are many soldiers, she thinks that the journey will take a long time. Melusine asks where the imperial palace is, to which the woman replies that His Majesty the Emperor. And in general, this is the palace where the person who rules the empire lives. In this empire, the only person who is higher in status than his lordship is the emperor. The main character asks if he is really taller than Chiron. Well, she says that the Duke is still much better. The maid wonders if Miss Mermaid really likes his lordship so much, and the girl replies that she likes it very much, after which the maid asks if even his lordship would offend her. She claims that she is talking about the ankle bracelets, and because of them that day trouble almost happened. The main character, looking at these bracelets, replies that everything is fine, and the maid asks if she is sure. She also asks if the lady wants to return to the sea, and most importantly, she replies no. She wants to say that it is because of the child, but she wonders if she really wants to stay just for this. At the same time, she wants to make sure that Chiron can become her guardian of the Northerners. The girl realizes that she thinks she wants not a child, but Chiron himself. At the same moment, someone turns to Miss Mermaid and asks if she loves his lordship. The main character asks if she is talking about love and understands that her sisters definitely told her that in any case mermaids cannot make eternal promises to people and she only has one chance. Then, let her leave the Keeper of the Sirens and never fall in love with him. The main character thinks that she does not know what to do. But at the same moment, the maid turns to Miss Mermaid and says that everything is fine because she will always be by her side, regardless of her choice. A little while later, someone turns to his lordship and states that they finished cooking at his command, and the man asks, "What about the security near the bedroom on the second floor?" His interlocutor replies that they have placed 5 soldiers, and the man tells him to introduce 2 more. To which he agrees and claims that he will add 2 more, but he wonders if the gentleman really thinks that something could happen. The man replies that he saw this too, and a little while ago he said that he doesn't really walk along this path. The hunting season is over, but there are tracks on this mountain trail, which means these people are still nearby. The servant claimed that he understood the master and would light a fire, and they also pretended to be asleep. To which the man agrees and tells the guy to be ready for an attack. In particular, let him warn the soldiers on the second floor, so that they are more careful. The main character at this time turns to the maid, and when she wakes up, then he asks Miss Mermaid what happened. It's still night. The main character replies that she heard a strange sound and something is happening outside. The woman immediately rises from her seat and screams that this cannot be. When she looks out the window, she sees the Duke fighting the mercenaries and screams for them all to be caught. The maid asks how this is possible. It looks like they were attacked. The main character goes out onto the balcony, and Anne again turns to Miss Mermaid. The girl at this time sees the daggers and screams that Chiron is in danger. The woman immediately grabs the lady and replies that she needs to go inside right now, and the main character thinks what to do because Chiron could get hurt. So she has to do something. The Duke at this time wonders who sent the mercenaries. But then he answers himself that it is useless to ask because it is already clear who. One of the mercenaries tells him to humbly give his life because the son of the empire desires it. But when he is about to attack, a vase flies at the mercenary and the Duke deftly cuts it, after which he looks at the balcony and asks if this is really Melusine. At this time, the main character is holding another vase in her hands, but at the same moment, the maid grabs the mistress. After all, one of the daggers flies at her. The mercenary screams that there are people up there and orders to seize them, after which the mercenaries enter the room and the maid hugs Miss Mermaid. At that very moment, one of them asks how dare they rush, but before he can finish his sentence, the mercenary ends up pierced through her. A little while later, several more are also lying on the floor. The main character only sees the Duke in the red liquid. A little while later, the knights are already putting down these mercenaries, and the main character is walking around the estate. At that moment, the girl hears someone enter the room. When she turns around, she sees that it is the Duke. The lady claims that she was worried, but her interlocutor only says that she does not obey and is not afraid, after which the man grabs the lady by the hand and asks if his words mean nothing to her. He also cries out whether she realizes that she pretended the girl almost fell into eternal sleep right before his eyes. The main character then apologizes and claims that she was afraid that he would get hurt and also wanted to do something. Her interlocutor claims that there is nothing to worry about since the emperor sent mercenaries. Melusine asks why, and the man replies that maybe he wanted to test how useful his dog is, or maybe by driving him into such a corner he wanted to teach his dog a lesson so that it wouldn't even think of biting. The man also asks what's wrong with the lady's face and says that there's no need to feel sorry for him because he's always been like that, but the main character understands that his expression now seems very sad. The lady remembers how he said that these feelings were just her imagination, and now the girl understands that this is definitely not her imagination. Chiron is special to her and she doesn't want him to be lonely or sad. The lady also doesn't want him to suffer. Now the girl claims that she won't feel sorry for him. The man then replies that it is fine, and that is what they will do, after which he even kisses the lady. A little while later, the main character asks if this is really the imperial palace. The girl also tells him to look at how many flowers there are, and it's so cool there, because the flowers are bigger than Tritone. Well, she asks anyway if Chiron is the strongest, after which the man wants to say something, but at that very moment someone turns to his lordship. The butler claims that he was awaiting the arrival of his lordship and that his majesty ordered him to be brought as soon as he arrived. The man asks if it is really right now, after which he turns to Ian, to which he replies that yes, and he will take care of it. After which he offers the lady to go, and the main character only looks at Chiron's back. A little while later, the guy stands in front of one of the portraits, but at that moment he hears some groans. The butler then asks his lordship for forgiveness and claims that the emperor is still in the bedroom. The Duke says that it seems his business is coming to an end and that the butler should not worry because he will wait until he comes out. The man thanks his lordship, and the Duke at this time again turns his gaze to the portrait. He also remembers how a little while ago the boy said that for him his uncle was the coolest, so he would become like his uncle in the future. But a little while later someone said that until then, the guy should stay with him. At that very moment, the blonde gets out of bed and asks who else it is, after which he even claims that it is his favorite uncle. The guy tells His Majesty the Emperor that they haven't seen each other for a long time. His interlocutor asks why the guy is so serious towards him. He also says that he is sure that the guy is not hurt and asks if this is true. He heard about the incident in the Rapiro Mountains. The Duke replies that there was nothing special there, but his interlocutor asks if this is true and wonders if the Duke knows how worried he was. He already thought that he would lose his beloved uncle forever. Chiron replies that thanks to his care, he successfully resolved the problem. But at the same moment, his interlocutor asks if his uncle knows that he seems to be a heartless person. He doesn't laugh or cry, but he's never even seen him get angry, so he must have lived for decades. Like his father's puppet and now like his dog, his father called this guy a lion and he was afraid that one day he would eat him alive. But his uncle is just a hunting dog that is difficult to tame, and there is nothing that the guy likes or dislikes. This dog is not trainable, after which the emperors are completely interested in how a dog can bite its owner. He also asks his uncle if he understands what he is talking about. The man just looks ahead indifferently, after which he keeps saying that if His Highness has nothing more to say, then he will go. But the blonde tells him to sit down because he has a request, and he heard that the kingdom of Maquillan learned about the Empress's pregnancy and sent a messenger. His uncle is supposed to meet him at the western border, and the man asks if he can. His uncle does everything he asks him to do. A little while later, someone turns to Miss Mermaid, and he wonders if she's really gone out barefoot again. The maid says that the lady is no longer in Triton, so no matter how uncomfortable she is, she must put on shoes. The maid claims that she is serious and that people would really behave like this even in the imperial palace. But the main character replies that she is uncomfortable, after which the maid tells the lady to stay there, and she literally runs off for a minute and carries her shoes. Let her not go anywhere, and the woman asks if she can wait, to which the lady nods, and the maid claims that she will mega return. At that moment, the main character sees a butterfly and immediately gets up and says that she will go with her. The girl sees a butterfly fly away and then steps on one of the branches. The man who was sleeping nearby opens his eyes, after which he becomes interested in who dared to come there. The main character sees him. He immediately claims that he is very handsome. The lady understands that she sees such shining hair for the first time. Perhaps this is the fairy that her sisters told her about, after which the girl asks if he is really a fairy. The emperor wonders what kind of nonsense she is talking about and whether she even knows who he is. But at that same moment, he sees a bracelet on the lady's leg and realizes that this material is Zeolt. If you think about it, his uncle is now in the palace and the duke had such a hobby. At this time, the main character asks if he is a fairy, after which the man answers that he is, and also asks who this lady is. After all, he sees her there for the first time and asks what her name is. The main character replies that her name is Melusine. The man says that she has a beautiful bracelet on her ankle, and it looks quite cute. The lady replies that she doesn't know, and that's probably true, but when he takes the girl by the leg, then she just asks him not to touch her because N will find her. The emperor says that it is a pity, and he thought that they would have had a fun time together. But nothing can be done, and then they can play next time. The girl asks if this is so, and her interlocutor distinguishes that yes. He also asks if the girl promises to play together next time. A short time later, Ian bursts into the room and asks how His Highness knows about the mermaid. The maid asks if he is talking about the emperor, to which he replies that he is, and asks how His Majesty knows. He talks about the emperor, and once again asks how he knows Melusine. The main character asks him what this is, and her interlocutor claims that this is a big problem. After all, His Majesty the Emperor is calling them. The Maid of Water is wondering what he is talking about. And did His Majesty the Emperor really call Miss Mermaid? She also doesn't understand why he needs it. A little while later, one of the maids thanks the Count for bringing this girl there, and from now on they will take care of the lady. The man then asks to wait, and says that regardless of the fact that this is an order from His Majesty, the Emperor, this is His Grace, the Duke's man, so how can you just take her away? The woman then turns to the Count and claims that His Majesty knows about this, and that he will not create any problems, and will quickly return the lady back. These are the words of His Majesty the Emperor. The main character then turns to Ian, and the guy just looks at her sadly. The lady asks the maids where she is going. And also, will Chiron be there? One of them answers that His Lordship the Duke is being driven out of this palace, and the person the lady will meet is His Majesty the Emperor, so she asks to be polite. The main character stands in front of the door in fear, but when it is opened, the lady sees familiar faces. At this time, the Emperor greets Melusine and asks if she has forgotten that she promised to have fun with him. The lady understands that she was told that she would meet the Emperor. But now she says that he is a fairy. Estelle at this time asks how Miss Melusine got there. The main character turns to Estelle. The operator asks if they have already met. Estelle said that she also went to Triton, but she would have told him if she had seen something interesting there. The woman just looks at him coldly and remains silent, and the Emperor tells Melusine to slag him off because he has a lot of questions for her. At this time, Estelle turns to His Majesty, and the man asks if she is not interested. To which she replies that she is not a fan of reckless gambling, and now that she knows his plans for the evening, she will go. After which she asks her to forgive her, but the main character immediately grabs the woman by the hand, and she says that she will go with her too. Estelle asks if she really wants to go with her. And didn't the girl come there herself? The woman says that this is what happens when she behaves shamelessly, after which he pushes the main character's hands away, and she is horrified. The emperor at this time turns to Melusine and hits the chair next to him with his hand. The girl gets scared and the man asks why she is standing there, after which he suggests that she sit down. Melusine sits down next to him and the man asks what food she likes. After all, he orders to cook whatever she wants. The lady replies that she likes fish. After which the man said that it was excellent because he had prepared a dish that he wanted to serve to his uncle, and she already understood that he is not a fairy, to which the lady replies that everyone is calling him the emperor. The man replies that this is true because he rules this empire and is also the nephew of Duke Chiron. Melusine asks if he is really a nephew, to which her interlocutor replies that this means a relative. It seems that the girl came from abroad, after which he wonders how these two met. Considering that his uncle even brought her to the imperial palace, they must have an unusual relationship. At that moment, one of the butlers asks His Majesty for forgiveness, and the man suggests that they first eat and then talk. After which he puts several fish on the table and asks how the lady can do this, because he is sure that his uncle would like it too, and the main character just says in horror that it is her poisonous fish. The girl claims that if Chiron goes down, it will hurt him, and the emperor replies that it is precisely because she is poisonous. The lady already understood what he did, and he wonders if Melusine knows how to tame a dog. The dog is put in a cage and fed food to which rat poison is added, causing it to suffer greatly. Then they begin to fear people and do not allow themselves unnecessary actions. The girl immediately gets up and screams for him to hurt Chiron. Well, the man asks who should worry about whom, and does the lady know what he put on her ankle? If she sinks into the sea, she will fall into eternal sleep. And that's the kind of person his uncle is. There is nothing wrong with putting someone into eternal sleep for your own pleasure, even if it is his own older brother. The main character asks what this means, and the man replies that yes, because he put him into eternal sleep by poisoning him, after which he watched as his brother fell into eternal sleep, and he is a man who will not hesitate to commit inhuman acts. He doesn't want to be like his father and fall into eternal sleep from a dog bite, so he is very glad that he met the lady. Since a woman appeared in his uncle's world that he cares about, she will become his new leash for him. The main character asks what he is talking about, but the man is only interested in what Melusine thinks. Will his uncle obey if he leaves her there? The girl jumps out to let him go. But the emperor says that if he was going to just let her go, he wouldn't have invited her there. Let the lady not be afraid, because he will not do anything terrible to her, and she just needs to behave quietly and do what he says. He doesn't know what she hopes for by staying close to his uncle, but he promises that he will give her more. And she still doesn't love him. Melusine understands that everything is wrong because she loves Chiron. The emperor at this time notices that the lady has finally calmed down and asks if she is ready to accept his proposal. However, at that very moment the girl starts singing and orders her to be let go. The man grabs his head in shock and asks what it is. He wonders what the lady is doing, and the girl just tells him to move away. At the same moment, someone else kicks down the door and screams that he was told to move away. The maid immediately goes after this man and screams, "How can one be so reckless?" And the emperor says that this is how it all happened in the end. The duke at this time turns to his uncle. His Majesty claims that the guy came faster than he thought, and he hoped that it would take some more time. The main character turns to the Duke, but he only looks coldly at the Emperor. His interlocutor says that there is no need to worry because it was just a joke, and let him take a look because the girl is completely safe. However, when he wants to say something else, the Duke only puts the blade to his neck. He asks if this is a joke, and then the Emperor should not mind if he also makes a little joke. Above His Majesty, the blonde then addresses his uncle, but then calls him Duke Chiron. And he cries out whether he even realizes why he is putting the blade of the sword to his throat. Is this really his manners? But his interlocutor asks if he has the right to damage his property. He called him a dog, and does the Emperor really mean to say that he doesn't know that dogs have teeth? No matter how devoted a dog is, when it does not recognize its owner, it can bite. His interlocutor asks if he really did the same thing as he put the previous emperor into eternal sleep. And with such feelings, the uncle plunged the father into eternal sleep. The man claims that he heard that the previous emperor changed his medicine on the eve of his death. One would think that the emperor fell into eternal sleep for this very reason, after which he tells His Majesty that there will not be a second time and then leaves altogether. A little while later, the two are already sitting on the bed, and the Duke says that the lady has a bruise on her neck. The main character apologizes to Chiron and says that it was because of her that he got angry. The man replies that it was not in the series. The main character asks what he is talking about, and her interlocutor claims that the song she sang before the emperor was not her. The lady replies that she does not know because she was very angry and did it suddenly. The guy asks if she does not like all men. After all, she told her maid that the number of men does not matter, and the main thing is to have more children. The girl claimed that it is good to have many men in order to give birth to more children. The lady at the same moment embarrassedly replies that this is not so and she does not like other people now. There should only be one man and one child, because she likes Chiron and Chiron's child. She only wants a child from Chiron, after which they kiss. The main character puts her hand on his shoulder, and her interlocutor asks what she is doing, and if the girl wants to touch him, then let him do it as much as he wants. The main character says that she was just curious, and the man stretches out his shirt and then begins to take it off, then tells her not to stop because she wanted to look, but when the girl puts her hand on his shoulders, she feels terrible scars and asks what it is. Melusine realizes that this is similar to when she was a prisoner in the aquarium, and when a person hurt her very, very much, it appeared on her body, but not so deep, and they quickly disappeared from the skin. The main character asks who did this, and whether this person also mocked him to get his tears. The man asks if she is talking about tears and states that he is not sure, but that is possible too. All these scars were left by the previous operator, and he was also his older brother. At this time, the lady remembers how the emperor said that such a person is his uncle, and there is nothing wrong with putting someone into eternal sleep for your own pleasure. Even if it is his own older brother, and now the girl is wondering if Chiron has put him into eternal sleep. The Duke asks if Edward really said that. The main character wants to answer something else, but her interlocutor claims that he told the truth. After all, it was he who plunged the previous emperor into eternal sleep, and from the very beginning, if he did not follow his will, he was very cruel to him. The man felt that in this way, he would plunge into eternal sleep, so he only once opposed him, and that was the end. He had to do it. He also remembers Edward's words that it was he who put his father into eternal sleep. And now the man claims that no matter what he says, he will still remain a bad person. If a person has committed a crime, then he deserves punishment, so the lady should curse him, because he doesn't need verses anymore. The main character realizes that Chiron already told her this once. He claimed that it seemed that what he needed most was for her to put him into eternal sleep. The girl wonders if he really doesn't care if he ends up like this. Wouldn't he be scared or lonely, and couldn't she save Chiron? The girl says that it is not his fault, so she will not curse him for it. She also knows what pain is caused for something like this to appear in theory. It was painful because he wanted to run away, and there is nothing wrong with the fact that he ran away. Melusine claims that Chiron is not a mercenary but a good man. The lady understands that in this world, only Chiron saved her. Out of a huge number of people, only he did this, and now the man repeats the words that he is a good person. He wonders how long this feeling will last and settles the lady down on the bed. The man asks if even despite what he did to her, the lady still considers him a good man, after which he even kisses the lady's hand, but when the girl tells him to wait, then he says that if she suddenly changes her mind, she can always just curse him. Melusine replies that she does not want to and will never curse Chiron. In the tape, she also claims that she likes Chiron, after which the man hugs her. The emperor is in his room with a bunch of broken things. He thinks how dare this guy poke him with his sword. And all this is because of that girl, after which the emperor has red liquid coming out of his nose. And the man realizes that he didn't know that this girl was capable of incredible things. He also thinks that she is an unusual person and a witch. Well, a lady can attack a person only with her voice, and this is not witchcraft. After which he remembers how the book stated that they tempt people with the help of song, and they also reveal their crazy fantasies to them and thus drive people crazy. So she is really an unusual girl, and the uncle was hiding a very funny thing. He was wondering why he spoils her so much, and probably it's all because of this, after which the man even thinks, how can he steal this girl from his uncle? At this time, Chiron is lying in bed and begins to dream. A little while ago, the man was coughing up red liquid, and when he turned to his brother, then he just looked at him coldly and asked if Karen was suffering. The man claimed that this poison came from distant lands. It is used by assassins whose names are unknown, and he heard that it has an excellent effect, but getting it was quite a problem. But seeing that everything is fine with the guy, it seems he made the wrong choice again. But at that very moment, his brother started coughing. He immediately took out the medicine and threw it into his mouth. The man realizes that he has been immersed in eternal sleep for a long time due to an unknown disease. No matter how many doctors surrounded him, no one could find a cure, and all he could do was expect the end at any moment. It was then that the assassination attempts began. The arson of his residence under the guise of an accident was only the beginning. He put assassins into eternal sleep countless times and cannot even remember how many times he drank poison. However, he always survived and understood why his brother was so cruel to him. Chiron claimed that even without his warnings, he has no intention of taking the throne anyway and will continue to defend Edward as the heir. The man asks if he is really going to continue and asks when he warned the guy, after which he grabbed him by the throat and claimed that he would put him into eternal sleep right there. If he goes into eternal sleep, he will no longer be near Edward. When the Duke almost lost consciousness, his brother suddenly began to cough up red liquid, after which he fell to the floor and asked Chiron because he couldn't leave him in the palace like that. He knows that Edward has not even inherited the golden eyes that are the symbol of the imperial mark. What will happen if he stays by his side, and has Chiron never thought about it? Only he knows who the guy is, and therefore Edward, being still a child, will not be able to cope with him. After which, he kept asking him to plunge into eternal sleep together. The Duke said that it meant he was serious. He thought that the Emperor was warning him in this way so that he would not do something stupid and was constantly keeping him on edge. However, he really wanted to put him into eternal sleep, after which the guy throws him a sword and tells his brother to use it. After all, he wanted it so desperately and let him plunge him into eternal sleep with this sword. If he had ordered him to enter into eternal sleep from the very beginning, he would have obeyed. After which his brother apologizes to Chiron and swings, but at that very moment he feels even worse. After which the sword falls out of his hands, and then his brother himself falls to the floor. Chiron, in shock, turned to his brother and then asked to call someone. His brother's last words were that he asked to plunge into eternal sleep with him. At the same moment, someone else ran into the room and screamed what happened. And also, did something happen to his father? Well, when he saw his uncle with his lifeless father in his arms, then he asked what happened. Now the Duke begins to see hallucinations, where his brother begins to ask, didn't he say that eventually he would plunge him into eternal sleep? Edward claimed that he had just seen his father fall into eternal sleep. And all this was done by the Duke, so he is simply a monster, after which the guy even ordered to plunge him into eternal sleep. At that very moment, the man wakes up near the sea and thinks what he expected then. Could it be that Togo's brother still considered him a member of the family and therefore wanted to plunge him into eternal sleep? Only he tried and also thought that someday everything would be like in the old days. Well, initially no one needed him, and the guy understands that now he feels disgusted by this. After which, he completely plunges into the sea well. At that very moment, he hears someone else calling him by name. It turns out to be the main character, and the guy opens his eyes. He also asks if she sang to him, to which the girl replies that yes, and she thinks that Chiron fell asleep. And to have a good dream, she sang a song. The man then hugs the lady and says no, after which they ask why. The girl replies that she would like for this not to happen to him again, after which the Duke kisses her. A little while later, someone claims that she heard the Emperor got into big trouble. That's why she told him that the Emperor should watch his actions, to which the guy replied that he understood, but who knew that it would happen to Uncle? Estelle says she hopes that it won't happen again at the post-birthday banquet. She also asks if His Majesty is listening to her, and the man immediately says that he definitely is, and there will be a banquet. But he almost forgot about the most interesting thing. He thinks that this is a great opportunity to pay his uncle. Estelle says that you shouldn't throw around such words, and her interlocutor claims that his uncle started it first. He just went and mocked his beloved nephew. The blonde also shows that he presented him with a knife right there, and the woman turns to His Majesty and claims that the emperor should take care of his body. If he has any wishes for his birthday, she asks him to tell her. The man claims that the lady has always dealt with this herself, and the girl replies that every year, yes. But now, nothing comes to mind. The emperor thinks about what he should ask for as a gift, after which he says that he definitely should, and he asks, what about that girl named Melusine? He is interested in a gift for her to give him this girl. The woman asks what the emperor is talking about now, and he suggests that she not pretend that Bhutan does not understand. In any case, he wants Melusine and is wondering if she can give it to him. The woman asks if even the fact that he got into trouble because of this girl didn't prompt him to let her go. The man replies that yes, but Melusine is somehow unusual. It seems that she is not human, after which he asks if the girl thinks so, but the emperor's interlocutor claims that she is a human. This is an ordinary person who is just vainly inflating his own value. She behaves so innocently as if she doesn't want anything. But this lady is just a girl capable only of stimulating male lust. She tells a story that she came from Versailles, and the man in shock asks if this girl is really from Versailles. The woman replies that this is a lie because he himself knows that there is nothing there, but the emperor asks why this is so. After all, there are mermaids there. Estelle, and the task is not addressed to His Majesty, here claims that now it is clear why her name is Melusine. The lady at this time approaches His Majesty and suggests that he stop and calm down. She will pretend that she didn't hear his words, and in return she will think hard about the gift and send it to him for his birthday, as it always was. The man then takes a mug of tea and claims that his father used to often read him a fairy tale. It contained a mermaid named Melusine, a terrible creature that drags people to the bottom and takes their souls. Well, once in a lifetime she gives a magical gift to people who truly love her. The guy says that this happens once in a lifetime and wonders if there is anything else so rare. It is so rare and valuable that everyone wants to have it only for themselves. For example, like the Marquise's daughter Estella, who broke off her engagement with him and chose his uncle. The girl replies that the conversation about an engagement with him took place a long time ago in childhood. She thought that he thought of it as a happy memory of days gone by, but the guy told her not to grumble because he just said what he thought. Men are looking for at least one of two things in women, or it is a way to increase their influence or pleasant company, and in his case, he found the first in the Empress. He also says that it seems the lady thinks, what could give his uncle both, but which woman would he like to have more? The girl replies that she just cares about him, and if this girl really is a mermaid, it doesn't matter how rare her heart is, it won't change anything. When the construction of the Cerritas Palace is completed, then they will marry his lordship, and no love will be able to change that. The man claims that he doesn't know, and it's hard to say for sure now. This girl, or better to say mermaid, seems to have charmed him. But his interlocutor claims that it seems the emperor knows nothing about his lordship. After all, this is a man incapable of love. The brunette at this time takes the lady by the hand, after which he puts his hand to her forehead, measuring her temperature. The girl turns to Chiron exhausted. The Duke asks how long she has been ill, and the lady replies that she does not know, and that she is very hot. The man says that maybe she ate something wrong or touched something strange, after which he once again puts his hand to her forehead, and the lady realizes that Chiron's hands are so cool. He also says that it is true and asks if there has been anything like this before. The girl replies that she doesn't remember, after which she closes her eyes and claims that she really wants to sleep. A little while later, someone shouts for the doctor to run faster, and he tells the count to wait because he might fall. The man claims that this is a very urgent matter and that he is very ill, since a person who has never called a doctor in his life suddenly calls him urgently at dawn. At that very moment, the count bursts into his lordship's room and cries out that he called a doctor, but the Duke is only interested in why he is shouting, after which the guy asks if he is okay. Chiron asks if he really hoped for the opposite, to which his interlocutor replies that of course not, he just called a doctor. The man claims that Melusina feels strange and has a high temperature, after which he asks if the doctor can examine her, to which he agrees. And Ian claims that he can't believe that his lordship is so worried about someone. The man tells him to stop and asks if he can bring seawater in a short time. On the way back from the Principality of Barton, he placed her in seawater, and the girl immediately recovered. Well then, the Count turns to his lordship and asks if she is wearing bracelets from Zeolt. The doctor at this time states that he has finished the examination, and when the Duke asks what is wrong with her, then the man replies that fortunately there is nothing to worry about, and he will also give her medicine to lower the temperature. He just needs to give the medicine at the right time. After which the Duke says that he should tell him how to give the medicine and he himself will do it. The Count in shock asks what he is talking about, because soon the banquet in honor of His Majesty's birthday will begin. However, Chiron only tells the servant to say that he will not be present at it. The guy in shock turns to his lordship, and the man claims that if he monitors her condition himself, he will feel calmer, after which he even strokes the lady's head. The main character is at sea at this time. The lady wonders how she got back there again. Then she heads into the water and realizes that she must return to Chiron. And he must be looking for her, but at that very moment the lady sees some kind of mollusk. And when she opens it, she sees a big pearl. When the lady opens her eyes, she says that she is warm. The Duke asks if she has come to her senses, after which the lady asks, "Where is her clam?" The man asks if she is hungry, to which the lady replies that no, and that there was a pearl in the clam. The girl says that she was very big, and the man says that if she was talking about pearls, that lady scattered a lot of it yesterday, and she will get it when she returns to the room. The main character replies that she is not talking about this, and in her dream she dreamed of a pearl, and also had a feeling that someone was hugging her. The lady turns to Chiron again and claims that she wants a child, but the man says that now is not the time for such a conversation. He is not going to make love to her today because she is sick and the lady needs to rest. Well, the girl says that this is the sea, and if she returned to the sea, it would hurt her. After which she keeps looking at her legs, but instead of them, she sees a tail, and the man claims that he took off his bracelets. And he also thinks that she doesn't need them now because he thinks that everything will be fine if they aren't there now. After which the two kiss. The next day, the text says that it seems the temperature has dropped, and he thinks that the seawater really does have an effect. The girl replies that yes, she feels great, and the man says that this is good, because now that she is up, they can go together. The lady wonders where they are going, and a little while later she is already surprised and asks where they are. Melusine realizes that this is similar to the market where she went with N only. It is smaller and quieter. And at the same moment the Duke lifts the lady into his arms, but says that she is so excited because it is her first time there. The man replies that this is the alliance of the Imperial Guild, and this is the thing she is wearing. Made in a place where the best craftsmen work. If the power of a separate group of people, like a guild, becomes very strong, stage is the risk of conspiracy with local nobles or religion. Therefore, he proposed to the emperor in the past to create a guild of artisans and subordinate this guild to the power of the empire, and also not allow it to increase its power. Melusine claims that she doesn't understand and wonders if this was created by Chiron. At that moment, someone greets his lordship, and the man says that this is the head of the guild. His interlocutor claims that he did not know that the gentleman would come, so he was late with his greeting, and he apologizes, but the Duke says that's enough of the apology and asks if the product is ready. His interlocutor replies that yes, and the zeolt that he gave him last time was very valuable, but this time his gem was so rare that he saw it for the first time. He took special care in making it so as not to damage the jewel. At this time, the main character says that it is very beautiful and asks if it is made from her tears. The Duke replies that yes, and it would be a waste to let them just lie around. He puts a necklace on the lady and says that this is great because now all traces are hidden. The craftsman asks his lordship how he likes the necklace and whether he should add zeolt, as he asked earlier. But the man only shows him to be quieter, and the craftsman shudders from this. He asks for forgiveness, after which he leaves the room. A little while later, one of the maids runs after the lady and says that His Majesty is still sleeping, so she needs to leave today. But the woman claims that she did say that she would go to the bedroom and wait until he woke up, or she needs to get permission from her servants to enter the palace, after which the maid asks for forgiveness. A little while ago, someone claimed that he had heard that His Highness the Duke was unable to attend the birthday banquet. Another girl claimed that he simply didn't come because they say it was because of the woman he brought with him to the palace. In that case, it seems the Marquise was unable to hold the Duke captive. The woman is only angry about this and thinks how dare they say such things. Now she bursts into His Highness's office and asks for forgiveness for the intrusion, and she also knows that it is impolite. But she has a request for him. When the girl hears a familiar voice, she is surprised and wonders if this is all true. At this time, the Duke says that he kept wondering if the wedge maid had gotten lost, and it turns out to be the daughter of the Marquis of Hesnall. He asks what brings the lady at such an hour, and his interlocutor replies that his lordship has been very busy these last few days, and she wanted to see him at least for a short time. After all, he didn't even come to the banquet in honor of the Emperor's birthday, and he could have at least dropped by for a short while because she was waiting for him. The woman claims that she was worried that he was seriously ill, to which the man replies that he was not sick but was busy. There was an urgent need to speed up the construction of the Cerritas Palace, and he thinks that the Marquis can tell her the details, but at the same moment someone else turns to Chiron. The blonde, seeing the lady, is shocked. At this time, Melusine shows something to the Duke. Yes, she looks away. Then he asks if it is Estelle. The woman turns to Miss Melusine, and the Duke says that the ladies were told to wait patiently. The main character apologizes, after which she even claims that she wanted to show it faster, because these pearls are golden and very shiny, just like Chiron. The woman watching these two remembers how she spoke to the lady, that she is just a toy and you can play with her without thinking about anything. But now she understands that everything is different, and perhaps this girl is really important to his lordship. Estelle also thinks that it would be good to put this girl into eternal sleep. But at that very moment, Melusine turns to Estelle and asks why she was the first to arrive that day. The girl says that the Emperor called her, and then the woman remembers this moment and claims that she does not understand what the lady is talking about. After all, it was the first time she had met her after a long time. The Duke was a little suspicious of Miss Estelle, and the woman insisted that in any case she was glad to see his lordship in good health. Since the completion date of the Cerritas Palace has moved forward, it means that their wedding will also be earlier than planned, and she hopes to visit the duchy in the near future. She would like to understand the general living conditions in the palace and decorate the space in which she will live in the future. But when the lady wants to add something, the Duke says that she can do whatever she wants. Well, let her not do stupid things behind his back anymore, after which the Duke leaves her alone altogether. A little while later, the main character lies on the bed and realizes that Chiron suddenly left and never returned. The girl wonders if this time he will be late again because of an emergency job or because of the wedding, because he must marry Estelle quickly. At the same moment, the lady feels a little bad, but understands that everything is fine. There is no point in worrying, she just has to give birth to Chiron's child. Well, then the girl remembers how someone said that when a lady gives birth to a child, she must get rid of the keeper of the sirens. She knows that this is their rule, and even if the lady doesn't like it very much, she won't be able to escape fate. Now the girl thinks that she knows, but for now she is fine, at least for now. A little while later, the girl sits at the table with the Duke. The man puts his hand on hers and tells the lady not to worry because they are together today. At the same moment, someone else bursts into the room and addresses the uncle. It turns out to be the Emperor, and he says that the uncle is a good man for coming to the palace so early. He also wonders if they will soon return back to the duchy, and he is not a fickle man now, sometimes here, sometimes in another place. It hasn't been long since he arrived at the palace, and yet they will have to say goodbye. The Duke says what a pity it is. And his interlocutor claims that he really liked his gift, and the more he looks, the more beautiful he seems, the more he likes it because he is beautiful and fragile. It seems he can fall apart from one touch, and he asks his uncle if he knows this too. The man only remains silent in response to this, and the Emperor claims that this gift is not bad, and that in fact there is something that he wants. After which he asks if her uncle can fulfill his request, to which he replies, which of course, and the blonde says that it's wonderful, and he's so touched because he's so loyal to his uncle. The blonde asks if he can catch a mermaid for him, which horrifies the main character, and the Duke claims that he doesn't understand what His Majesty is talking about. His interlocutor claims that this is not funny, and asks if he is pretending not to understand. The late Emperor was always conscious about mermaid legends, and recently he remembered his father, and suddenly wanted to see a mermaid. But Versailles is not far from Triton, so he thinks that the guy went there on a ship and caught a mermaid. The man also turns to Melusine, and he asks if she knows anything about it. The Duke then turns to His Majesty, and he claims that legends are just legends, they are made up for children, and he didn't think that His Majesty still believed in them. It may sound presumptuous, but isn't it time to step out of the shadow of the late emperor? The blonde immediately spills the tea and asks if he is talking about the time having come. And also, is he really under the shadow of his father? And after that, the guy even asks, how dare he say such a thing? The Duke turns to His Majesty and claims that the time has come to end the inferiority complex. That's all. And he won't ignore his rudeness, like last time. After that, Chiron leaves with Melusine. The main character turns to him excitedly, and the man claims that she saw something she shouldn't have. He also asks if the girl was very scared of something. She answers no, and vice versa. The girl asks if he can really do this as an emperor. The man replies that from the moment the emperor decided to take what belongs to him, this was bound to happen, so the girl doesn't have to worry about it. However, the main character says that it seems that the emperor did not like Chiron and he wanted to get it. Chiron says that the girl is just as innocent as Kim was, but still, if he thought the same way as she did, then what would have changed? It's useless to think about it now. A little while later, the main character is in bed and asks where Chiron went. The maid replies that his lordship has gone to the palace of His Majesty the Emperor. He said he felt ill and didn't even say goodbye properly. The emperor prepared a farewell dinner for him. The main character says that Chiron is the emperor. They had a fight before, but she is interested. Do they really want to say goodbye again? But the maid replies that Miss Mermaid should watch her words, otherwise there could be big problems. These two are a family, and even if they quarrel in the family, they quickly make peace. At this time, the lady remembers the Duke's words that if he thought like she did, then things would change. The girl realizes that their quarrel did not seem so simple, after which she turns to the maid and wants to say something, but the woman immediately replies that she does not. The main character asks why she doesn't want to listen to her, and the woman answers that the lady definitely wants to see his lordship and will ask for it, and claims that she knows how much the lady likes the Duke, but there are things she cannot do. And what's more, it's dangerous to go outside now, but at that very moment, the main character gets up from her bed and runs out. When she runs out into the hallway, she immediately bumps into someone else. It turns out to be Ian, and the guy claims he knew it would happen. The girl tells him to let her in, but the man replies that it is an order from his lordship that under no circumstances should these people be allowed into the palace. He ordered him to prepare breakfast for the lady so that she would definitely eat, and from the imperial palace they sent food for a farewell dinner. The girl at this time remembers how the emperor asked if his uncle would like it too, and now the lady says that it is Santo Patris. The maid at this time says that it is delicious, and suggests the lady to go eat it quickly, but the girl screams that it is a poisonous fish. She also claims that if Edward gives it to Chiron, there will be big problems and she will never allow this, so she asks to let her in quickly. The servant claims that most likely everything will be fine, and nothing will happen to his lordship since this is not the first time he has eaten poisoned food. The main character wonders if he has already eaten something like this more than once, to which the man replies that yes, so there is no need to worry, and let the lady wait in the bedroom because as soon as he hears any news, he will immediately tell her. Well, the girl just asks if they are really leaving it like that and screams if they will let Chiron eat poison. Ian claims that this is the imperial palace and is acting dangerously hastily. If they stay there, maybe it will help his lordship even more. The man also asks if she hasn't figured it out yet, and the main character thinks that she doesn't want Chiron to be sad or lonely. After which, the girl replies that she did not understand or simply does not want him to be hurt and does not want to leave him alone. The lady then goes to the window and turns to Ian, asking if he really won't let her go to Chiron anyway. The guy then sighs and claims that he can't disobey his lordship's order. Then the girl says, well, she has no other choice, and jumps out of the window. The maid runs to the window in shock and screams, "What is this?" But when the maid looks at the ground, she sees that the lady is lying on the Duke. Chiron wonders what the hell that was. He also turns to Melusine and asks her if she realizes what she has just done and what would happen if she were to get hurt or fall into eternal sleep. But the girl only answers with tears in her eyes that she is so glad because Chiron is safe. The man asks what strange things she is saying, but at that very moment the girl notices that his fingers have turned black and in shock asks if he really ate poison. The main character says that she knew that the emperor would give him something, and Santa Petrus is a poisonous fish, so she wanted to tell him about it, after which the lady apologizes for being late. The Duke wonders if she really wanted to tell him about this and jumped out of the window because of this so that he would not eat the poisoned food. After which he even asks the girl to say, to which she replies that yes, and the sisters who ate this fish became ill and then fell into eternal sleep. That's why she's afraid that Chiron might get hurt too, and she was very worried. The man says that she shouldn't worry. After all, he said that he was always in such a situation, so how many times should he tell the lady not to worry and save him? Well, the main character says that even if it was always like this, it doesn't mean that it didn't hurt him, and she doesn't want it to be like this, after which she asks Chiron not to fall into eternal sleep because she will do everything for this. The man is shocked and wonders what she just said, and then asks if he really heard an ancient language. A little while later, the lady opens her eyes, and the Duke asks if she has come to her senses, to which she replies that she has. When the girl turns around, she asks if this is really the sea, to which the man replies that yes, and they no longer needed to be in the palace, so they immediately went there. The lady was worried because she had been sleeping and had never even woken up. He asked if she really liked the sea so much that when they arrived there, she woke up right away. The girl replies that it is because she really wanted to come there, but knew that she could not, and the lady asks if it matters now because she came with him. The girl heads to the sea, and the Duke watches her. The lady turns to Chiron and then asks if she can enter the sea, to which the man replies that she can do whatever she wants. And he asks from what moment she suddenly needed his approval. The main character answers that yes, but who knows, after which the man suggests that she just go, and asks if she has become afraid of the sea. The main character replies that no, after which the guy suggests that they go together. Melusine wonders how they will go together, after which the brunette picks her up in his arms and claims that he does not know, and asks how about this method. Melusine asks him to wait, after which the guy only tells her to grab onto him. After which the girl's tail begins to appear, and Chiron tells the girl to never repeat what she did today because he is not weak enough to need her help. But when he tells the lady to answer him, the girl only answers that no, and if something happens to him, she will not sit idly by. She will do so as long as it takes. The Duke then says that maybe he has been too lenient towards her lately, but the girl still says that if something happens to him, she will go after him, find him, and help him. Chiron claims that this is quite unusual, but there is no need for it anymore because he will not leave her alone anymore and has decided everything. At the same moment, snowflakes begin to fall from the sky, and the main characters ask, "What is falling from the sky?" The man replies that it started snowing, and Melusine asks again what it is, and the man replies that it is a snowstorm consisting of frozen water from the sky. Melusine wonders if there is water in the sky too, and says how beautiful it is. The brunette then approaches the lady and hugs her. The girl asks what happened, and her interlocutor claims that she promised that if something happened to him, she would follow him, so the lady should not leave. She no longer belongs to the sea, and let the girl never forget the man who holds her. A little while later, the guy is already sitting on the shore, and the main character emerges from the water and addresses him. The lady claims that she really likes it there, and wonders if he will come to her, to which the Duke replies that no, girl says that it is so refreshing there, and Chiron is busy every day, but N said that if you continue like this, you can get sick. And so the girl tells Chiron to come to her quickly, and as soon as he enters the sea, he will immediately feel better. The man then apologizes but claims that he is not a mermaid. But it was all worth it to deliver seawater there for this reason because he can see it even without being on the castle grounds. The girl replies that yes, and she likes that Chiron brought the sea there, but that's enough for today because he doesn't want to be with her. When the lady gets out of the water, the man tells her to come to him because he will dry her off, and if she doesn't dry off, well, it will be bad. After which he wipes the lady's feet well when he puts his hand higher. The lady claims that she feels strange when he loses it there. The man asks if this is really the case and whether he should stop, to which the girl replies no and suggests continuing. After which, he takes the icy hands and the two of them head to the mansion. A little while later, they find themselves in bed and the girl turns to Chiron, and also asks if he likes it too, to which he replies that it's not bad, and asks if he didn't talk about it before. Melusina claims that she is quite different from Likes, and the girl asks if he really doesn't like her. The brunette at this time thinks if it is possible to simply say that he likes her. Every second he is afraid that the lady will leave him, and it is not even funny. After which he keeps asking her how he cannot like her. Melusine says that she understands, and if Kieran wants to do something with her not out of love but just something nice, then okay, if Kieran likes it, then she likes it too. A little while later, someone asks if the Marquis has chosen a wedding date, and it hasn't even been a month since he returned home. The Count claims that they were originally going to postpone it, but now they want to finish it quickly. The man claims that he thinks he wanted to arrange a simultaneous wedding and usurpation of the throne, to which his interlocutor replies that this is true, and that he has also heard that Lady Hesnal is inciting her father. The man watches Melusine at this time, and then how she smiles happily holding snowflakes in her hands. The servant claims that this time the lady will come with the Marquise of the Duchy, and they want to start preparing the palace. The Duke says he has allowed it and asks if he had another choice. The servant then apologizes for his tactlessness, but asks if he hadn't moved the mermaid's bedroom closer to his own. Oh, how about leaving her at the villa for a while because he thinks it would be bad if she met Lady Hesnal well. The man claims that he is sure Melusine does not care much about it. When the servant wants to say something else, the man claims that he knows what he wants to tell him, but asks if they will arrive in 2 days. Well, his interlocutor replies that yes, after which the Duke says, so that Estelle would be given the Archduchess's room, and besides it is far from Melusine's room, so they would collide. The man claims that this is their only way out, after which the servant agrees with his lordship. At this time the main character turns to N and asks what she has in her hands, to which the woman replies that it is an orange. This time she brought something tasty, and the lady does not eat anything else, but maybe she will like the fruits, after which the girl bites this fruit and the maid asks her to wait because she has to clean this hard thing. After which she peels an orange for the lady and the main character thanks her, after which she bites the orange, and when the maid asks how she is, then the lady claims that it is delicious. The woman says that of course because a lady can eat fruit, and asks if it is not sour or orange. Melusine replies that it is very good and very tasty. The maid asks if it's true, then hands the lady another orange, but wonders if she's always eaten sour things so well. A little while later, someone else comes up to them and says that she wondered who could be making such tactless noise on the street. It turns out to be Lady Estelle, and she says that the way the girl eats resembles an animal. She also addresses the maids and asks if they brought what she asked to prepare. After which one of them hands something to the lady, and the woman tells them to leave her for a while because she has something to talk about with Miss Melusine. She also turns to the main character's maid and says that she too, and replies that she was ordered not to go far from Miss, and the main character tells her not to worry because everything is fine, and she will talk to Lady Estelle. After that they go to the gazebo in the garden, and the lady asks what the girl wanted to tell her. The blonde replies that it's nothing special, and she wants to give her something. Melusine asks what it is, and her interlocutor replies that it's what she needs. If you are interested, then let the girl open it, and when the main character does so, she sees a jar with contents of a strange color, after which she wonders what it is. The woman replies that it is a contraceptive decoction. The girl asks what it means, and her interlocutor claims that if she drinks it, she will not get pregnant. She will soon marry his lordship, and the closest date is before the end of the year, and the latest is next spring. However, everything would be complicated if a child no one wanted appeared. The main character then asks if the girl really hates her, after which she claims that she will give birth to a child for Chiron. She does not like it. The blonde replies that everything is correct because she does not like it, and the man who marries her will receive a successor from a woman who looks like an animal. After which she claims that this is terrible, and if a lady gives birth to an illegitimate child of the imperial family, then it is clear that she will have big problems. Therefore, it will be better if she listens to her and drinks this decoction. 5. It is for her well-being, but the main character thinks that this is a lie because if it were for her well-being, she would not feel this way. Every time Estelle looks at her, she says only terrible things, and the girl thinks if she loves Kieran. This is of course possible, but every time she sees her, she feels a sharp pain in her stomach, and she would like Kieran to look only at her. After which the main character thanks Estelle but says that she does not need it. A little while later, the market screams seriously, "The legend wants to start the operation in a month." His interlocutor asks if this is not what he wanted to, which the man replies that of course, but while his lordship is raiding the imperial palace, he will occupy the capital. The man replies that no, and he plans to send Count Luthern to the capital. Marquez says that if that is his will, then he will obey, after which the man asks what about the wedding, and the Duke replies that they will do it next spring. His interlocutor claims that this is great and asks if he has already discussed the day with Estelle. In fact, it would be good if he himself said so, but the man claims that he will figure it out. After which the Marquis rises and says that they are finished and he will go, but when he approaches the door he turns to the Duke. And he thinks that he as always does what he wants, but he has to follow his will because there is only 1 month left and he will please the Duke, after which it will only be a matter of time before his daughter becomes Empress. The brunette at this time looks at the pearl and understands that there is 1 month left, and this is the last chance to stab the Vertihawk. A little while later, the lady is again on the bed. The girl looks at the contraceptive potion and understands that she did not take it, but it was forced into her. People understand that she is not talking about physical intimacy, because she just likes to be with Chiron and sing Versace to him and also swim in the small sea. Just spending time together like this makes her heart flutter. At that moment, someone else comes into the room and asks Melusine what she is doing. He also asks if the girl can now eat something other than fish, but the lady replies that yes and claims that it is very tasty, and she also brought a few pieces to Chiron. At first the tongue went numb from the acid, and then it became sweet. The man then takes the lady by the hand and asks if it is true, after which he kisses her and claims that the lady is right to beat first sour and then sweet. He throws it all to the lady on the bed, and the main character understands that every time Chiron hugs her, she hesitates, because the sooner she gets pregnant, the sooner she can return to Versailles. The girl after this understands that he is her siren guardian, and thinks that she does not want to leave him so for now if she does not get pregnant. And now the main character says that she doesn't want to, and the brunette asks what she's talking about after, which he notices what's on the table. He takes this jar in his hands and asks if Melusine knows what it is, and brought it there, to which the girl replies that she does, and claims that it is a contraceptive decoction, but she really doesn't mean it that way. The man replies that he understood, after which he asks why the lady brought it there. The Duke wonders if she didn't want a child, and since when has she been hiding something from him. At that very moment, some voices begin to address Chiron. It turns out to be the voice of his brother, and he wonders if he really believed that he too could create his own family. After all, he can never be happy, and in the end, who would want him? The main character at this time turns to the Duke, bringing him out of his thoughts. The girl claims that Estelle gave it to her, and although she accepted it, she never drank it. The man then turns to Melusine and tells her not to believe Lady Hesnall. The main character then claims that she believes Chiron and understands that she doesn't want to think about anything, because now she just wants everything to be as it is. A little while later, the maid turns to Miss Mermaid and tells her that she needs to get something to eat. The woman also claims that yesterday the lady ate only oranges, but the main characters do not answer that she is not hungry and she feels sick. The woman then turns to Miss Mermaid and asks if she is pregnant by any chance because she can't eat much, and if she does eat, she feels sick. When her mother was pregnant with her little brother, she felt the same way, but then the woman asks what she is talking about and claims that she will not say such nonsense, after which she apologizes. The main character then asks if she can be alone for a while, and when the maid leaves, the girl suddenly thinks that N is right, and then the lady starts singing. But when she feels something, she understands that her sisters told her that this is the first sign of pregnancy and that she really is pregnant. At this time, Chiron approaches Melusine and puts a flower behind her ear. The main character asks what it is, and the man answers that it is a hibiscus. It is often called the flower of mermaids. The lady then repeats the title with a smile on her face, and the Duke eats, smiling. When the girl wants to say something, the man interrupts her and claims that Melusine has been eating poorly these days, to which the lady replies that yes, she feels a little unwell. The Duke says that if she wants something to eat, then let her say so, and the lady wonders if Chiron will be happy if she tells him that she is pregnant. Then the lady thinks what to say, but remembers how Estelle said that she would soon marry his lordship, but everything would get complicated if a child no one wanted appeared. The main character thinks that if she is pregnant, she should return to the sea, and it doesn't matter whether the Duke is happy or not. Chiron, looking at the lady, asks if something really happened, and the girl replies that nothing, but thinks that then it would be better for the Duke not to know this truth. A little while later, the maid turns to Miss Mermaid and claims that yesterday she was talking about her brother. But when the girl does not listen to her until the maid asks Miss Mermaid what happened, the main character then apologizes and asks what she was saying about her brother. The woman says okay, and they always talk about her family, but about the main character they answer no and ask her to tell them because she knows that she likes these kinds of stories the most. She really wants to see Lin and Len. The girl then turns to the maid and talks about the word she taught her that meant she looked like a family. The woman asks if she is talking about a friend, to which the main characters answer that yes, and claims that N is her most precious friend there. The maid then turns to Miss Mermaid with emotion and claims that she is always on her side. She can't do much for her, but she will always be there for the lady, and in the future Estelle will become a duchess, but the lady should never walk with her head down. After which the maid asks if she understood, to which the lady replies yes. But at that very moment the lady faints and the woman in shock turns to Miss Mermaid. Much time later the lady lies in bed with the Duke, after which she turns to him, and the man asks how she feels, to which the lady replies that she is fine now, and when she saw him she felt better. The man then claims that he will soon be busy, and the lady asks when he will come, to which he replies that he will return after the end of this year. When he finishes all the work, and well, then the guy doesn't continue, and the main character in the stitching will also be then, to which he replies that nothing. He also notices that the girl has lost weight and tells her to eat well because he ordered to plant more orange trees. He also asks if the girl will answer him on something. She answers that it is good, but thinks that it will happen very soon during the siege of Chiron, then she will return to the sea. A little while later, the Duke comes into this torture room. This man immediately recognizes him and screams that he has committed a sin worthy of death and asks to be put in jail. He will tell them everything, even about all the orders he received. The Duke claims that this is a distant relative of the Marquis and an illegitimate child. He has been working under his command for 3 years now, and the Marquis's spy plots turned out to be too bad, but his interlocutor asks how the gentleman knows. The man wonders if he thinks that he kept him close to him all this time because he didn't know. Then his interlocutor cries out why he didn't get rid of it right away, to which the man replies that he was waiting for the time when he could use it. He also says that this man should be freed, and he screams that for the fact that he gave him life, he will do anything, and he is also ready for anything. The Duke asks if he has passed on any more information from the strategy meeting a few days ago, to which he replies that this is true, after which the Duke tells the servant to give him this paper, and when he hands it to him, the man tells this guy to give this to the Marquis of Hesnall. If he does something stupid, well, at that very moment the guy screams that it is impossible because he will never disappoint the Duke. When they leave, the servant claims that he will fall into eternal sleep as soon as he comes to the Marquis. His master replies that this is true, because the Marquis will understand that the plan that the spy brought him is not real. The document that he sent him is also a kind of warning that he caught his surveillance, and nothing will bother them until the event itself, and there will be silence for some time. After which the Duke turns to Ian and claims that in the southeast he has his own small island. After the operation is over, he plans to build a villa there. The man understands that the lady constantly falls asleep and feels weak, and perhaps this is due to homesickness and longing for the sea. Leaving her there for a month or two would be good. The lady stands near the window and thinks about something. Later someone claims that he is thinking about adding jewelry to the chest and skirt of a brocade dress sewn with gold threads. The tailor also asks if they like it too, which Estelle replies that they do, and she thinks that the purple embroidery would go well with the color of her eyes, after which Potnoy states that it is an excellent choice. It is also a pity that they do not have much time left, but since they decided to get married next spring, he will do everything in his power, after which the woman claims that she trusts him. The lady also looks at his lordship and addresses him, stating that she heard that a new pond had been built in the backyard, and also asks if he could show it to her, as she would like to be with him today. However, at the same moment the Duke turns to Lady Hesnal and claims that he does not care how much the lady spends on preparing for the wedding because she can sprinkle her dress with gold dust or something like that. However, let her never take away his time like today, after which the man says that everyone is free, and the girl turns to his lordship and asks if he thinks about being with that girl in the future. After all, she told her that she came from Versailles. The man asks, "What about Togo?" And the woman claims that even if the legend is just a legend since she is a girl of unknown origin, she is worried that it could harm him. The man then claims that the one who told His Majesty about Versailles was her, and if the lady really wants to become a duchess, then instead of trying to please him she should stop irritating him. Let her take note of this, after which the man leaves her, and the woman only furiously pronounces the name of Melusine. The lady wonders if she has ever experienced such humiliation in her life, having been born the daughter of the Marquis of Hesnal. Whatever the Duke's feelings for this girl now, it doesn't matter to her, and in any case, after they get married, she will get rid of her. The woman understands that this is true, and first she needs to successfully get married, and then everything else. But at that very moment, someone knocks on the door, and the woman asks what happened, after which the maid replies that someone wants to talk to her. When this man enters the room, the woman asks if this is Miss Melusine. Estelle claims that she was thinking about her and wonders why the girl came. The main character replies that she wants to ask her for something, and the woman claims that she thought she didn't like her. She also asks if the lady knows what the biggest difference is between her being born with such a noble title and a creature no different from a simple bug, because it is the right to have what you want and enjoy it. If she continues to be near his lordship, she will do everything to complicate her life. Well, when she wants to say something else, the main character says that even if that's the case, let her do it. And then the girl says that she wants to go, so she asks for help. And also take Chiron away from the castle. Much time later, the lady is again in her room and sings, and also understands that it seems her child is sleeping well. Singing along to the sound of the waves, she hears how his heart beats and when this child will be born. But at the same moment, someone else approaches the lady from behind and addresses her, and also asks why she is not sleeping. The girl answers that she simply cannot sleep. After which she turns to Chiron and asks if he is already getting ready to, which the man replies something and he is going tomorrow afternoon. The lady understands that only one night, and that's how much time she has left to spend with this man. She hopes that the others will not find out that when she meets with Chiron's cold eyes, she becomes very hot. This rough breath burns like a hot sun, and then the girl turns to the Duke and asks her to hug. The lady understands that she wants to feel him with her whole body for the last time, but her interlocutor claims that he does not want to make love to the attack, and it is not good. At the same moment, the girl answers that she wants it now, and when the Duke seriously addresses her, the lady only kisses him on the cheek, but her interlocutor says that it is not necessary. However, after several more requests, the man only kisses her, after which everyone throws him onto the bed. The lady thinks about what would have happened if Chiron had not broken the glass aquarium and pulled her out. She would never have had a siren keeper, and she would never have borne a child. Oddly enough, she had such thoughts that day, and if they had not been in that place, they would have met Chiron anyway. The lady understands that he once showed her that calling someone by name is very pleasant, after which the main character claims that she loves him, to which her interlocutor replies that he knows, and the girl understands that it should be enough for her just to like Chiron. Well, she must have lived too long in the human world, and the girl wants to receive love even if it's just a little bit, but she wants to feel mutual feelings, even if it all ends in nothing, but she still hopes that the Duke will remember this night until she erases his memories. A little while later, the blonde greets Lady Melusine and asks if she is ready to leave, to which the girl replies that she is, after which the woman hands her a bottle of something. The woman claims that it is a dye, and the lady can apply it to her hair after the Duke leaves. The main character wonders if she really needs to apply it, and her interlocutor replies that in the Empire she is the only one with pink hair, and in this form, the girl will not be able to take a step outside the palace. His Majesty Edward sent the carriage, and even the Duke will not be able to search for the imperial carriage without permission, so she can easily leave unnoticed, and let her prepare herself mentally now, because soon the lady will be able to leave. The main character realizes that Chiron said that he was leaving today and now she will never see him again. A little while later, people watch him leave and realize that it would be nice to talk one last time. But at that very moment, she hears someone addressing her, and when the person turns around, she sees that it is the Duke. The man asks why she is there. The girl in her thoughts addresses the baby and understands that it seems that the father has come to say goodbye for the last time. Melusine says that she wanted to see him. That's why she went out, but asks if he also came to see her, to which the man replies that he did, after which he kisses the lady. The girl thinks that it is strange because they are kissing not for the first time, but there is a lot of pain in the chest, and then the lady asks him to be safe, let him not get hurt, and he should also sleep well, to which the man replies that it is he who should give her such instructions. He also claims that he went, and then the main character tells him to listen because she loves him, and in her thoughts the girl understands that even if she leaves him forever, then her heart will never change, after which they kiss. A little while later, the blonde realizes that several days have passed since His Highness left for the campaign, and tomorrow His Majesty's carriage will arrive. Everything is going smoothly and she doesn't know what she is thinking about, but it's even good. But at that very moment, someone bursts into the room and screams at Miss that she should listen to this guy. The girl then asks if he is not participating in the campaign with his father and wonders what happened in the palace of Cerritos. A little while later, the guy turned to the Marquis and claimed that it seemed that his lordship the Duke had finally arrived. After which the man said that everyone should be prepared because when the Duke's troops arrive they will join, and let them reach the Cerritos Palace in one breath. The order to attack will be given by his lordship, but at that moment one of the arrows flew into this man. The man wondered if this was a counterattack, but then he saw the Duke and the man turned to the Marquis and told him to surrender. His interlocutor asked how long he had known, and if it was because he had been spying on him, so he decided to attack him and change the plan. The man then asks the Marquis if he really thought he needed the throne, and his interlocutor cries out that, if not, then why? Well, the Duke asks why he needs him to seize the throne, after which his interlocutor cries out that they will soon become a family. But the guy replies that he doesn't have a family and won't have one, and his interlocutor asks why that is, after which the guy claims that he is one of the members of the imperial family, and someone like the Marquis doesn't dare look down on him. After which the man screams out and the blonde asks if this means that the Duke planned all this. At this time the maid turns to Miss Mermaid and tells her not to worry too much because this time his lordship wants to return so time will fly by quickly. But so that she would not be lonely all this time, she will diligently help her. The main character then turns to N and then hugs her. The maid asks Miss Mermaid what happened, and the main character only thanks her and claims that her gratitude is as great as the sea. The maid once again addresses Miss Mermaid, but when the girl starts singing, she falls asleep. The woman thinks what is happening because her body has weakened and she suddenly really wants to sleep. The main character at this time settles the maid and understands that if she knew that they would break up like this, she would have done better. The girl also thinks if all breakups are like this, and now she understands why the sisters returned to Versailles so quickly after spending nights with men, and as memories accumulate it becomes more difficult because you have to live with these memories. At the same moment someone else turns to the lady and tells her that she should get ready to leave. She also asks if the girl will go to her room first, to which the lady agrees. The woman a little while later states that she will now tell the whole plan. Lady Melusine is her servant, and when she shows the guards the signature of His Majesty Edward that she gave her, they will decide that the people are a servant who has come to deliver a letter to His Majesty, and the girl will explain what is the matter. Having left the city gates, she can do whatever she wants, and the main character thanks the girl, and her interlocutor claims that at the end, she will ask something she is not interested in, whether she can find out why the lady is leaving his lordship. The main character apologizes but claims that she can't let her tell him to which the woman replies that it's okay, and now it doesn't matter, after which she tells the girl to fidget, after which the main character enters the carriage and sadly looks at the estate. The blonde at this time mentions how a little while ago she asked if the Duke had planned all this. Then she would start laughing and claim that now she understood why he had that attitude. She also recalled the man saying he didn't care how many years he would spend preparing for the wedding, and she could sprinkle her dress with gold dust. The woman claimed he had no intention of doing that in the first place. The maid claimed that the carriage with the mermaid would arrive tomorrow afternoon, and the lady claimed that Edward was in charge of it all. The maid wondered what the lady had planned, and the woman replied that everything was going according to plan, because there was no reason not to help Melusine. After all, his lordship also has something to lose, and now the blonde claims that this is true, because she thinks that this will help her feel less insulted. When the main character is driving through the forest, she thinks that it is strange because she thought that they would go to the village, but the lady does not understand why they are driving along this road. At the same moment, the maid turns to Miss Melusine and asks if she knows that she is sorry. If she does a good job, Lady Estelle promised her a generous reward, but the main character asks what she is talking about, after which the woman screams that today she will fall into eternal sleep in this place. But at the same moment, the main character screams for her to let her go, and the woman immediately grabs her head, after which the horses also lose their temper. The carriage almost falls and the girl claims that she must get out, but at the same moment the maid screams that no, after which she bends over to the icy carriage falls. The main character manages to get out of it and understands that she must have hit herself when she jumped out, because now she can't move. Melusine also understands that in the end, Estelle didn't even think about helping her. The girl remembers her sister's words about not trusting people so easily, because in the end people will still betray her. And now the lady understands that she had difficult moments like now, but while she was in Triton, she smiled a lot and was happy. The maids and guards in the palace were also good people, and the best thing was that she met Chiron. The girl thinks that it is not too late, as she planned to leave Chiron and erase all memories. Her song penetrates his heart. So let him close his heart and return to the sea. Let him not wait. At that very moment, someone informs His Majesty that the Duke has declared victory, and they say that he is taking the traitor to meet him, to which the man replies that it is clear, and his uncle has won again. It was hard to understand until he got to this place, and no matter how many victories his uncle brought to the empire, his father always looked worried when he looked at him and was afraid. He will never forget the eyes of his father looking at him with contempt. A little while later, the Duke turns to His Majesty, and he asks his uncle, "What about the traitor?" After which the man claims that he brought him and offers to execute him personally. The man claims that he doesn't do that, so let the guy figure it out himself. But his interlocutor replies that he can't, and the emperor asks if he's really suggesting that the emperor put him into eternal sleep himself, to which the man replies that yes, and that would be right. The emperor then says that maybe the guy should team up with the Marquis and start a real rebellion instead. He also cries out that maybe the uncle was honest. And he wonders if he doesn't even want to get rid of him a little bit, because until the very end he wasn't worried about which side to take. After which he approaches his uncle and tells him to listen, because that is why he should have put his nephew into eternal sleep a long time ago, but the man claims that if he had craved the throne, the emperor would not have been able to sit on it in the first place. The blonde asks what he said, and the man just pulls his sword out of its sheath and waves it, after which he says to His Majesty that in order for no one ever again to even dare to covet his throne, he must do it himself. The blonde asks how so and why the guy does not covet this throne, and his interlocutor replies that initially it was not his place, and it would be more accurate to say that such intentions will not be in the future. Then he leaves, leaving His Majesty perplexed. The blonde understands that this is simply impossible, and he always hated his self-confidence, so he thought that by using this mermaid, he could calm him down a little, but he couldn't even say anything to him. Well, at that very moment, the guy starts hearing some song and thinks who the mermaid is. He also says that the wind is not a 5-year-old child, but is talking about some mermaid, and he has definitely gone crazy. A little while later, the main character opens her eyes, and someone asks if the older one is awake, and his interlocutor's little sister claims that the boy should be silent. The girl also asks what this is, because this girl really looks like an angel, and the main character thinks who these children are. At this time, the boy says what an idiot his sister is, because angels do not exist. The main character at this time sees a torn wound on his forehead and wonders if he is Ren by any chance. At the same moment, the kid asks in surprise how the lady knows and why they haven't seen her there before. At that moment, someone else comes into the room and tells the guys that they shouldn't just chat and let them go and help Ron fix the barn, to which they agree. The woman at this time asks if the guys woke the girl up and how she feels. The main character understands that this woman seems to be En's mother, and her interlocutor claims that her sons found her lying near the rock and called her, after which she treated her wounds, and the woman said that if Lika was in pain she should definitely tell her because she was not alone. The main character replies that it is a secret, and the woman says that it is fine. The lady can stay there until she gets better, and let her not think about anything now and also have a good rest, to which the lady agrees and thanks her. A little while later, someone reports that His Grace the Duke has returned, and someone congratulates him on his victory. He also asks if the gentleman is okay, to which he replies that he is, and Ian says that he simply has not been able to sleep properly for 2 months. The man realizes that he can now sleep. He turns to the maid and asks where Melusine is now, but his interlocutor asks who she is, after which the Duke bursts into the room where the main character should be, but does not see anyone there, and after which one of the servants turns to his lordship and claims that from the day he began to live there, this room has always been empty. The main character at this time goes to the table and has dinner with the maid's family. After that, they all hang out the laundry and do housework. A little while ago, she was sitting with the little girl, and the girl asked if the older sister knew the name of this flower. The main character answered that it was freesia, and the little girl claimed that the lady was just like sister. She also asked if the girl knew all the names of flowers like her sister, and the main character claims that she hopes that she has such a cool sister. The little girl then asked if her older sister had such a friend, to which the main characters replied that this friend taught her everything. The little girl then claimed that if she was her sister's friend, it would be good for everyone to meet together. The sister said that she will soon be able to take a vacation, and the main character asks if this is true, after which the girl says that his lordship the Duke recently returned with a victory, so there is a festive mood throughout the palace, and thanks to this, well, at that very moment, the girl notices how her older sister starts to cry and asks what happened, to which the main character replies that nothing. A little while later, our pearls fall into the bag and leave them on the table, hoping that she will understand that this is a gift of gratitude. The girl thinks that it would be better to say goodbye before leaving, but then she realizes that in any case they will not remember her, and a little while later, the lady is already near the sea and also thinks that the N family does not know that she is a mermaid. So even if she erases their memory, nothing will change much. The girl thinks that everything is fine again. She was also able to meet her siren guardian, could not get pregnant with a precious baby, and now she can no longer be there. People understood that she would never walk on the earth on 2 legs as a human, and now she is definitely saying goodbye to the Duke. The man at this time is Here Are the Athletes, and someone claims that it was confirmed that the maid and the coachman who were riding inside were more people of Lady Hesnall. Also, a letter with the imperial coat of arms was found, and maybe trouble happened to them. Carrying out the order. The man then looks at the knife and asks why a knife was found in the hands of an ordinary maid, after which the servant replies that it could be for self-defense. No red liquid was found on the ball, and the statements of the 2 men also coincided. There was someone else in the carriage from the start, and the servant then asks who it is, and then asks if he is talking about a person named Melusine whom he is looking for. The man then thinks that this is what people were talking about, and this is the curse of the mermaid. He also thinks about his Melusine, and in his mind wonders where she is now. A little while later, someone turns to his lordship and tells him that he should take a look at this. When the man turns around, he sees a bag of pearls. A little while later, the woman turns to Ren and says that no matter what the situation, he should have told his mother first. How could their guest leaving them with such a gift, after which the boy claims that his mother coughed very badly, but hid it from them. The woman replies that she felt better because she drank the herbs that he lent her with all of them. The young man claims that this is not true because he already asked, and they are not enough. She wanted them to use it. The girl then says that the older sister could at least say goodbye, and the woman says that she must have had her own reasons, and if they wait, they will definitely hear some news. At the same moment, someone knocks on the door, and when the woman opens it, some man gets off his horse and asks, "Is she the mistress of this house?" The woman then asks if this is really his lordship, and the Arab authors and the servant claims that he heard that someone from their house recently continued to, which his interlocutor replies that it was like that. The man then asks where she got the pearls from, and the woman replies that a girl was visiting their home and left them as a gift. The Duke asks if she has pink hair, or if it was by chance, to which one of the little girls replies that she didn't answer. She had red hair. Ian tells his lordship that perhaps this is not the girl he disappeared from. The man is only interested in what color the girl's eyes were, to which the little girl replies that they were the color of the blue sea. After which the Duke asks where this girl is now, and the owner of the house asks forgiveness from his lordship, and after all she suddenly disappeared one day, and they also do not know where she is. The man after this just disappears and turns around, and also says that they are going. The woman watching him understands that she does not think that this man is pursuing this girl, and on the contrary, he rather looks like a man who is worried about her. A little while ago the woman asked if she was the only one, but she answered that it was a secret. Although the girl said not to tell anyone now, the woman cries out to his lordship and claims that she needs to tell him something, and the girl who gave her the pearls is pregnant. A little while later, the Duke sits on the bed and realizes that her belly, although not very protruding, she could not eat anything normally, except oranges. The guy also wonders if she had morning sickness, and he realizes that Melusine is pregnant with his child. He also remembers how the lady approached him and claimed that she loved him, but he only replied that he knew, and now the guy understands that he should not have ignored her. It was as if he branded her with his thing-hanging shackles on her, and initially he did not call her by name, if he knew that the girl would not be near her for long and then disappear like the little mermaid in the fairy tale. But at that very moment someone knocks on his lordship's door and claims that Lady Estelle has come to see him. The man asks why she has come. The woman claims that after her father's execution by the grace of His Majesty, all members of her family must go to the duchy to become laborers. But the servant adds that it seems her father used all the jewels to bribe people, and he wanted to tell more to His Majesty, and also tried several times, but he does not want to listen. The man then tells him to tell, and the girl at the same moment bows before his lordship the Duke and says that maybe this is presumptuous, pissing on her part, but she has reasons why she came. She has something to ask him now. She was once his bride, and if he could only acknowledge a little that she asks to be put into eternal sleep. The Duke claims that he will simply ask one question, and not under the rocks near the Triton Ridge was found a carriage belonging to the imperial family and its maid. He also wonders if the girl remembers the reason why she sent the maid on an errand to the imperial palace. The lady asks if he is talking about the maid and the errand, after which she apologizes to his lordship, but claims that she really does not remember anything about it. The man at this time asks if she is asking to be put into eternal sleep, and even if she reached Triton, if she really wanted to fall into eternal sleep, there are many other ways. The lady replies that she wanted to see his lordship with her own eyes, and the man asks if she really thought he would show her even a little sympathy. The girl is a traitor, so let her be grateful that she is alive at all. But at that very moment the lady cries out to his lordship, and he says that she doesn't even have the courage to take her own life with her own hands, and she asks others to do it. After which he apologizes, but claims that the lady has come to the wrong place, and he will never help her. The servant then turns to Lady Estelle and tells her that it is time for her to leave. But the woman asks his lordship if he knows that there are rumors that he is looking for a woman. They also say that she was his first love, and he is the kind of person who only knows how to trample other people, so he simply cannot love. And she is so pathetic that she once loved him, after which the man apologizes but claims that it was not love. She just wanted power and status, and this is a possessive feeling. The Duke understands that in reality he is no different, after which everyone tells him that the girl should not fall into eternal sleep and live. After all, even in a situation where she cannot live, this will be her price that she will pay for the rest of her life. A little while later, the servant reports that Miss Estelle has left the palace and asks if anyone should check that she has really left, to which the man replies that she has not. He also offers the servant to go as well, to which he agrees. The Duke at this time thinks about the fact that this woman does not remember anything related to Melusine. The same symptoms and people from the palace, but the girl was definitely there. Having accepted the help of the people who harmed her, the lady left Estelle committed a crime, and even if she does not remember anything, this is still a chain connecting the events, and she will pay for it all her life, about the crime he committed as an eternal punishment that will extinguish him until the end of his life. After which the man thinks how dare he think that he loved her, and if he cannot find the lady he will feel suffocated all his life if he does not have the opportunity to atone for his crime. A little while ago, he first became afraid of falling into eternal sleep. It was a trivial fight in which he could not lose, but the guy was nervous, afraid of losing his life. Now the Duke also remembers how the lady last asked him to be safe, and not to get hurt, and also said that he should sleep well. The man understands that the lady said so, and then for the first time he wanted to live. To survive and return to her exactly as she is waiting for him, and also to drown again in her bottomless, honest, and blue eyes. Well, now the man is thinking where to look for the one who has become the meaning of his life, and now leads him to immersion in eternal sleep. A little while later, the butler comes into the room and asks if the Duke called him, but he only says to bring Ian because they will soon be sailing. A little while later, the servant asks if the master really intends to go that far. The man only asks if the preparations are complete, to which he replies that they are ready to sail even tomorrow, but that is too reckless. To go to sea with a minimum number of people is almost to say goodbye to life, to which his interlocutor replies that he knows, and that's why Ian will stay there. The servant immediately screams out what he's talking about, and if the deputy commander doesn't go, then who will? The man replies that he knows that the only one he can trust to manage the duchy is Count Luthern, after which he hands him documents on the transfer of part of his possessions and accompanying rights. He has no heirs, and if he plunges into eternal sleep, then almost everything that belongs to Triton will return to the imperial house. But he has the right to transfer the lands received for his services in the war to anyone he deems worthy. He also asks the servant if it seemed too little to him, and the guy only cries out how the master can say that. Ian realizes that he has the feeling that the gentleman is preparing documents before falling into eternal sleep. At the same moment, someone turns to his lordship and informs him that a message from the emperor has arrived. The man then tells him to bring his horse immediately. Ian says that if the master explains what is happening, he can also prepare. The servant thinks what is written there, that he reacted like that, but when he looks at this sheet, then he understands that the emperor wrote to his uncle that it seems he found the very legend he was so desperately looking for, so they will meet at the Cerritos Palace. A little while later, the man bursts into the emperor's room, but realizes that it smells rotten. He recognizes the smell, but at the same moment the man turns to his uncle and claims that he did not think that he would arrive so quickly. The Duke asks where she is, and his interlocutor asks who he means, after which Karen suggests that he speak immediately. His interlocutor asks if he is talking about the woman that his uncle was so madly looking for, and the man asks if he remembers Melusine. The emperor at this time says that it seems he misunderstood something. After all, he said that he seemed to have found her, but he did not claim that this girl was alive. The Duke then claims that this cannot be and opens the coffin. The emperor cries out that this is an inanimate body that has long since begun to decompose. So how can you tell just by touching it? The Duke understands that this is different because both the skeleton and appearance are different from Melusine, after which he even claims that this body does not belong to Melusine, and he asks His Majesty if he really finds this funny. The man then just smiles and replies that, well, honestly, nothing could be more exciting. He wanted to see it with his own eyes, namely how his uncle was collapsing. When the Duke grabs him by the shirt, the emperor asks if he is angry and wants to put him into eternal sleep, like he did with his father, after which the blonde pushes his hands away and claims that he did not think that the guy was even capable of feeling despair. He also hopes that when he put his father into eternal sleep, he was also so excited. Let everyone else go, but the uncle must endure, and the emperor claims that his father was always afraid of him and scolded him all the time, and also wanted him to become like him. Therefore, he will not understand what it means to live forever, looking at someone's shadow. The Duke understands that he is still a prisoner of the ghosts of the past. after which he claims that on that day His Majesty the former emperor was put into eternal sleep not by him, but by the blond man who screams, "Does he really want him to believe that?" His interlocutor replies that it is not up to him to decide whether to take His Majesty, who had been ill for a long time and was worried about his condition after his immersion in eternal sleep, and that is why he always wanted to immerse his own brother in eternal sleep, after which the Duke turns to Edward, and also suggests that he stop living buried in the past because he knows better than anyone how pointless it is. A little while later, the Duke walks through his courtyard and tells Count Luthern to come out. Ian immediately comes out from around the corner but asks how the gentleman guessed. His interlocutor asks, "How is it possible not to know when he rustles behind your back like that?" The servant then claims that he has already prepared the carriage, after which he suggests returning to the duchy, and his interlocutor asks why he never once inquired why he was doing all this, to which the man replies that he has never doubted the master, although he still does not remember a woman named Melusine. But for the first time he sees the master so sincere and desperate, so he decided that as a servant he should follow him without asking unnecessary questions. After these words, the man falls silent for a long time, lost in his own thoughts, as if weighing the consequences. Soon breaking the silence, he suddenly suggests going on a journey as if deciding on something important. As planned, with the first rays of dawn, they will quietly set off straight to Versailles, a city shrouded in fog where they could already be expected, or on the contrary, where no one knew about their arrival. The journey promises to be long, but each of them understood that there is no turning back.